Well, I got a good topic this morning that hits home very hard. Philippines Life Through the Eyes of an Expat. That's the name of the show. He was doing a story about, yeah, that's his channel. Philippines Life Through the Eyes of an Expat. I listen to him now and then. British guy. Yeah, he was doing a story about how you got to really watch out here. It's easy to make allegations against somebody. It's out here, you're guilty until proven innocent. Unlike America, you're innocent until proven guilty. Yeah. And then what people have to go through, it could be a girlfriend, it could be whatever it might be. It makes an allegation against you. And, well, it's really no different than like if a woman in America cries rape. Well, even though the situation didn't happen, you know, the poor guy's going to have to go through the rigmarole, the whole legal process, and so forth. But then his reputation gets soured. Boom, bam, boom. And that's it. Well, it's the same thing here when somebody makes allegations against you saying that you did something. And as most people know, I'm going through that right now. Coinky Dinky, this guy did a Philippines life through the eyes of an expat. That's the show. He was doing a whole show on this. It's his most current video, actually. He's on like about almost every day. And he has a friend that's even in jail for 3 years because some Filipino accused him of something. So he knows on a personal level through a friend of his how easy it is just to accuse somebody of something. Then what you have to put them through to disprove it. Yeah. And then figured he got the gravity, their favor, say, of being a Filipina, over a foreigner. So their words that usually seem to be more accepted than a foreigner, but not all the time. Not all the time. But then there's also the ramifications of such too, and he was talking some about that. Uh, if the allegations were false, how do you punish somebody like that? Well, of course, if it came down to some legal matter, and let's say that you were exonerated from certain charges, and they had deemed that the person who made these allegations or so forth was perjuring themselves, yeah, that could be quite heavy duty stuff against the person who made the allegations. Of course, if it had been taken to court, if it's been challenged, if it's been somehow legally questioned by the very organization, for example, that took in a report or a charge or something like that. This is their time too that they have to spend on this matter. They don't like that. You mean you put us through all this shit, and it was just a revengeful allegations. You've taken up our time, and we have plenty and plenty and plenty of complaints to go through, and you're lying. Yeah, I don't think they take very well to this, Filipino or foreigner. They don't like their time being wasted in the system because they got their hands full to begin with. Anyway, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, I was listening to a show, and I said, "Well, that hits home. That hits home." And I thought I'd talk about that this morning. Well, it's always been part of my discussion on here anyway, because I do talk about the situation and how wrong it is. I mean, how easy it is. Let's just say it this way: how easy it is for someone to make an allegation against somebody. Then, what they got to put the other person through to disprove their allegation. allegations and, legal costs involved with this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, aggravation. Oh, believe me, I'm not the only foreigner who is going through this. As I was listening to this one guy, Philippines life through the eyes of a foreigner, the British guy, he does a show almost every day. He's the one that says, "Hello, you lovely people." That's the one. Yeah. So I listened to a good part of his show and I said, "Yeah, I can relate to that. I can relate to that." It's like the goal of people to do what they do and see what they could get away with it. Well, somebody tried that with me and he didn't get away with it. And a lot of people make assumptions that they can get away with a lot of shit too with me, but then they better start thinking back on Barry Jordan. I went the distance with him. What can happen could happen. What can happen could happen. Remember that. Whether you're in this country or out of this country or whatever, someday you're going to be in the country. You might have to face some challenges while you're here. When you've been causing big problems for somebody else on a regular basis out here. I think a lot of us face challenges, face a lot of challenges living out here. But the one thing you really need to avoid, let's see. Oh, well, a lot of this stuff happens with guys, their girlfriends out here, foreigners with their girlfriends. They have some problem with them. The girl doesn't get away or something, one or another reason, and she can certainly turn on you in her country. Yeah, the balancing scale is a little bit different in this country than it is in America. Generally speaking, the weight of the scale, goes to the Filipina in this country, or Filipino, whatever the situation was involved, or whatever the situation was, but not always. I think the legal system here, they listen, they listen. It's not always with greasing somebody's pocket, which does go on quite a bit out here. I think that's quite common, actually. But when you make certain allegations against somebody, you damn well better prove it. I mean, you damn well better prove it because the consequences for such could be just as bad as the consequences you're trying to put on somebody else. Something you got to keep in mind. I've been up early this morning because she came home early in the morning. Of course, I woke up. I think that crazy lady was walking in my yard this morning too. I seen her walking around, and the dogs were barking about no more than 30 minutes ago, actually. I seen her walking across the field. I don't know. She walks around haphazardly. She'll go in people's yards. She'll go in their car. I mean, very bizarre behavior. I think everybody knows her that she's harmless, but shouldn't be going to people's yards and stuff. I don't know. Who's her caretaker? I don't know. Do you excuse somebody's mental illness for doing things like this? Well, I'll tell you what. To me, it's mental illness when somebody would put a false report on somebody and that they're so gullible. Okay, I have to take my timing is always bad. I got to do a CR break. Give me a couple of minutes. All right, I'm back. Nature said hello. Had to answer. Yeah, it's almost like out here, in a sense, you're walking on eggshells, or you have to. And it's very easy. Well, everywhere, no matter what country, but it's very easy for somebody, to shout, foul play, and you have to answer to it. And so you can prove the other person was doing something illegal by actually making such allegations, and they definitely should be punished. It's almost like if you're living out here in the Philippines, like anybody else, you got to follow the laws, whether you approve of their laws or how they do things out here. But even if you do, there's always something that could come along. For example, you could. I think there's a common thing. I don't know how common, but it's fairly common. I think what happen out here is if you meet a woman and she sets you up where she's going to tell you that unless you pay me X amount of pesos, I'm going to call the police and say that you tried to attack me or something or whatever. And of course, the foreigner doesn't want any trouble with the law, and chances are he's going to give her that money. I'm definitely sure that happens out here. I'm sure that does. In fact, I think I've heard a few stories that are kind of related to that, actually. So, as a foreigner living here in the Philippines, you got to watch your P's and Q's. I mean, it's, well, getting with the wrong Filipina, well, that's a start. I mean, that could be trouble all the way down the line from there. Choose wisely, but you don't always choose wisely because you don't always know what you're getting into until it happens. And believe me, Filipinos, the devious ones, the ones that are, out to take advantage of a foreigner, they're pretty smart in what they do. To get your house, to get a house built for them. There's a doctor guy who's having a house being built. Comes back, because he's overseas and she's overseeing all this stuff too, supposedly, and then comes back and where's my house? Sir, that's not your house. That belongs to blah 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 blah. She'd already built the house from his money and sold it on him. I mean, there's a million stories in the naked city, especially out here in the Philippines. Now, nobody wants to walk on eggshells out here, and you don't have to hermetically seal yourself from all this. I mean, go that far. But sometimes it almost seems like you have to. Um, People are out for profit. People are out for revenge. They're jealous of you or something. They could try to make your life hard, but it's those exemplary few foreigners that really fight back and say, "Hey, fuck this shit, foreigner or not. I'm not going to take this kind of abuse. No way." Well, I'm one of them, actually. Oh, I'm definitely one of them. Ask Barry Lee Jordan. If that's not proof enough. Yeah. Ask this other guy on Facebook who's on trial for doing, well, what he did was cyber libel, same category. But I mean, the thing is, you have to make a personal decision to go along with the bullshit or do something about it. It's your own ass you're fighting for. It's your own ass. There has to be ramifications for somebody who puts in a false report or charges you with something or whatever the case might be, or it's a domestic situation or whatever that you're actually innocent of. you can't let it slide by because it could happen to you again, and you don't want people to get away with that kind of shit and make a habit of it. You got to stand strong, boots on the ground, and say, "Hey, fuck this shit, man. Fuck this shit." Mm-mm. You're not gonna let that happen. So you could be living a merry old life here as an expat in the Philippines. All's wonderful, all's good, but then the possibility of something coming your way, something out of jealousy, out of revenge, out of something, is a daily occurrence out here that happens. Well, it happens between Filipino and Filipino out here all the time, but it certainly happens to foreigners and Filipinos and so forth. There's nothing new about that. Now, I listen to this British guy's show here and there. Although he loves being in the Philippines, I've always questioned him and say, God, all the things that you're talking about, all the dangers of living out here, his name is Philippines Life Through the Eyes of an Expat, a British chap who sometimes was going to make wrong decisions, and his viewers had to steer him out of making a wrong decision about something. I won't go into detail with that, but and basically he walks around his front property and does his shows while he's walking and walking and talking, and he really talks about a lot of downer type stuff about living in the Philippines. How much he loves it here, but it sounds like he's almost trying to convince himself that, oh God, I'm realizing this is a dangerous place. I got to watch everything I do. It's so easy for, say, a Filipino to take something off you, from you. It's so easy for somebody to make an allegation about you. It's like you need another set of eyes, you know. You got to watch all the time what's going on around your environment. Watch what you say to the locals. Watch what you do on even a YouTube show, which Steven is his name. He sometimes puts himself, he lives close to Mindanao or something. I don't know. Bad enough, okay. And he might say some things that might sound a little bit derogatory as far as what he talks about Filipinos. He's married to one, you know. Yeah. A good example is when a real big mistake he would have made. He knows these Filipinos that have this little stretch of beach that they own. There's a little stretch of land on the beach. He likes fishing, and he has some kind of a little fishing boat. He's seeing what a perfect place to, they're allowing him to kind of moor or whatever his boat there. And he said, oh, what a great place that would be to own or something. And these people, they said to him, well, hey, this is your beach. You do what you want. You build a house on there. We'll let you do this and all that. He almost got really sucked up in that because he was seriously thinking of building something there that he can retreat to and have his boat there. He can go fishing and all that. But then a lot of his viewers start to tell him, no, this don't sound right at all. This is a dangerous situation. But they're trying to get you to build some. They're saying, this is your beach. They own it. They're saying, hey, this is yours. This is yours. Do what you want with it. Sure. And he was almost getting ready to go to a point of maybe having something built on there. And that would have been a dangerous situation because you build something on there and then there's problems saying, hey, that's mine. Thanks for building that. Get off my land. And he almost fell for that until a lot of his viewers says, don't get involved in that situation, man. You want to wind up like the guy who disappeared. I guess he's truly gone. That guy from Mindanao. It's been such a while, I forgot his name. Out of sight, out of mind, or out of conversation, out of mind, I guess. Wow. Just like that. It's a matter of time. Yeah, that would have been a stupid move. I don't know. A lot of foreigners, they just don't think clearly that perhaps things that they do, there just might be some ramifications in what they do with it. You know, Filipinos don't always make the best decisions, but if you're pressured by somebody to do something and you're enticed, you just might do it. But at the time, it's a greed situation. It's the kind of thing. Hey, what's in it for me if I do this? If I do this, what's in it for me? What kind of enticement was involved to take that kind of a chance? How are they enticed with money, with promises, with what? If you do this for me, hey, we'll even pay for the lawyer to write it up. Well, maybe throw a little money your way, just a little added icing on the cake to make it happen. And that's exactly what goes on. That's exactly what goes on. Offer money, and people will do. Filipinos will do things that will make it pretty attractive to do. You know, the money is right and the situation's right. They sure will. Oh, believe me, I know. If anybody knows, I know. So, yeah, I think out here you're pretty much guilty until you prove yourself innocent. But then it's kind of funny in America, you're innocent until proven guilty. But if you're being arrested for something, well, does that statement still hold strong? Let's say you were arrested and put in jail, but the motto or terminology is that you're innocent until proven guilty, but they've arrested you. Maybe they threw you in jail. So that doesn't really apply that you're innocent until proven guilty because they're saying you are just by either arresting you or putting you in a jail cell waiting for a trial or something, right? Bizarre. Just a play of words is all it really is. But here in the Philippines, foreigners that come here think it's all fun and games. They think it's all fun and games. They're coming out here to get laid and shit. Let's face it, that's why they're coming out here. Let's not play around with reasons. Majority of the reasons why they come out here, they're coming out here to get laid. Go whatever, for whatever the reason. Recreation. They couldn't get a woman in their country. They hear all this stuff about the Philippines, how easy it is to get a Filipino to get laid out here. Throw a little magical dust their way in the form of pesos, and you get all the Filipinos you want, which is the majority of what's happening with a lot of these, even YouTubers that are out here chasing their tails, as I say all the time. Well, the only way they can get a woman is by money. Shit, you can get laid in your country if you want to put out a little bit of money. You have to come all the way. You have to come all the way to stinking Philippines to get laid. You could find a prostitute, for example, in your country and pay and get laid. And they have young prostitute. They have young prostitutes too in America. So you have to come all the way to the Philippines just to lay out some money to get laid. Really? Seriously? Well, they do every single day. The airlines are full of foreigners coming out here every single day with the same goal in mind. I watch all these people's shows and they're getting laid left and right. They're having this gay law life out here in the Philippines. Well, it's what YouTubers want to show you of this fantastic life that they're having in the Philippines. Because they don't want to make their life look pretty sad, even though their life probably is sad. Some of them are moving from country to country. It doesn't work out in one in Southeast Asia. They go to another one. Doesn't work out with them there. They go back to the first country. Then they go back to the original country, and they're still not getting laid. There's a message in there somewhere. There's some enlightenment in there somewhere. There's some facts in there that why isn't this happening? There's always reasons why it ain't happening. It gets to the point that if you try to pay a prostitute that you don't even want to deal with you, there's something wrong here. And we know these stories, don't we? Yeah, we certainly do on YouTube. It's no mystery to any one of us, really. It happens all the time. So yeah, you have to decide that if you're going to be a frequent visitor to the Philippines, or you plan to live here, And I don't care if you got an SRV, even if you married, you got a 13A, you're still a guest in this country because you've got that little piece of paper. You make one wrong mistake, and I don't give a shit what you have, what kind of pedigree papers that you have out here that you boast about a lot. And one of them, you have to go tie away a shitload of money just to get that piece of paper that says, hey, I'm considered a resident now. That doesn't protect you from a lot of things because you got sort of a resident status. There's still crime out here. There's still Filipinos that get pissed off at you. You're not safe. You're not safe. But you have to be the wise man. You have to be the wise one to not let that happen. And if something like that does happen to you, my advice, if the Philippines means a lot to you and you want to stay here, you fight hard against any allegations that's ever made against you that has any legal repercussions or things of that nature. You fight hard and you make sure. Oh, let's see if they're barking. Look at that one girl that's always walking around here. Okay. What now? Okay. Little distraction here. Oh, believe me, you fight hard. You fight as hard as you possibly can to disprove any allegations of such. You do what you need to do and you do it hard. So you'll never allow that to happen again, ever. And it's so easy out here to get into situations like that. It's not a hard thing. I don't know, maybe you pissed off some Filipina somehow, you know? Maybe you started dating her and she thought, well, yeah, we're a team. And you were just out for a piece of ass, but maybe, Filipinos very sensitive. If they like a guy, they go hard with the guy. They want to satisfy him, they want to please him, they thinking, oh man, I'm in a solid relationship. When she might be a little naive, a little bit gullible, and think that that's such, but the guy was just basically trying to get laid, and that's all it really was. Oh, a Filipino scorn. Heard that saying, you know, about a woman's scorn. Well, out here in the Philippines, there is a woman's scorn. And I would probably say it's about 10 times worse than American girls' scorn. I can't put exact numbers, of course, but whatever. Let's just say it's worse because they're very, very jealous females out here. Cultural thing, they're just really by nature very, very, very jealous people. It doesn't just apply to females too. The guys are very jealous too, but females, yeah, definitely for sure. And they'll maybe do things to get even with you. Like, how dare you, take interest in another woman? I thought you were interested in me. Be careful, man. They'll knife you, whatever. I mean, it's true. How many incidents guys have been killed or hurt because a woman's jealous? Or maybe she's upset over the fact that you didn't want to stay with her. She wants to get even. Get even. Isn't that what it's all about? Get even. Revenge. How I'm familiar with that. But the consequences is not always that bad for the person that they're taking revenge on because you play your cards right. You could have your little play in the field too at this. When allegations are made against you that are false. It's according to how much time or money, whatever it is you need to spend, or perseverance, tenacity, whatever, you just do it. You don't think about it, you just do it. But yes, a foreigner has to be careful out here. Extraordinarily careful if you're planning to make this your home. Because as a foreigner, as a Westerner, it's automatically assumed that you got a lot of money. That's a little problem too that happens all the time. People start hitting you up, and if you don't give them any, well, the way it usually works is if you've been kind to somebody out here, and you've helped them out a number of times, there is an actual expectation that whenever they need something, they're going to go to you and get what they want. And it becomes a habit. Then when the foreigner stops paying them and says, okay, look, I've helped you enough, trying to be kind, they take it really personally. And now you could become a victim. They get too used for that free ride. And when it's over, they don't want it to be over. They feel that you have done something wrong to them. They'll take it out on you. Really, I know of case because I have a friend out here. It's a woman friend that, well, she used to live in Constellation. I'm not going to go through the whole story again, but that happened with her. She's a Filipina, by the way. It happened with other Filipinas. She was very generous too. When the money stopped, things happen. I'm not going to go back to that story again because I've actually given that story once before. You got to watch what you do out here. Watch what you say. And, not everything on YouTube is taken unnoticed. You got to understand that too. There's people that listen and they note things. Well, that never happens. You have to get to a point that if you're going to be on YouTube and you have although not self-created, controversial channel, there's always going to be somebody challenging you somehow. For example, if they've been a challenge to you, then record them. You never know. In one day, and that's exactly what I've done the whole time. Anyone that's challenged on me, I got a library of recordings to use just in case. I was smart. I was a smart one. And that's why Barry Jordan had a trial. If I have to use his name on my show again. You can get away with so much on here, but then sometimes it catches up to you. And I don't care what the distance is, you're going to come back to the Philippines to visit, right? So you get brave on your show and you call everybody every name in the book, thinking you ain't going to do shit. You ain't going to do squat. Well, some people may not. Some people have a good memory. Nothing wrong with mine for things like that. I can forget where I put my sunglasses, 5 minutes later, but there's things like this I don't forget at all. Trust me on that. You got to be a step ahead of the trolls. If you're going to make a career of any sort, I dread using that name, career, on YouTube. You're going to have hecklers. You're going to have people that don't like you for one reason or another. And some people get really carried away. Didn't MJ get attacked one time? This shit happens. Barry got attacked by somebody when he was in Mwalwa. Yeah, Mwalwa. Somebody that didn't like him. Well, we don't know who it was. Certainly wasn't me, but tried to say it was. No, I wouldn't have done anything like that. But somebody got pissed at him, and he got I don't know. It's according to which story you want to believe it, Barry. Whether it was a stick or a rock or a beer bottle, it changed all the time what it was. But somebody got pissed at him. Obviously didn't like him. And he got his fucking skull almost broke open by somebody. You got to watch what you do and watch what you say, because you don't know if somebody's being honest with you and saying, "Hey, man, don't keep up this kind of shit. I don't like it." One day we might confront each other, and it might be a whole different story. You don't know how far you're going to go. It's going to be the heat and passion of the moment. You don't know, so it's better you don't get in that situation at all, because everything will build up in you, and you might do something you're going to regret later on. But if you got nothing to lose, you never know. You might go the distance. But yeah, there's a lot of, and I listen to different shows, and sometimes they touch upon this stuff, and or mostly they talk about the same crap all the time, of cost of living and all this shit, which is, Snoresville. But sometimes you hear some interesting stories that maybe you can relate to. If a Filipino accuses you of something, they're initially going to be looking at her like, okay, well, that's the way, that's not really true. That's not really, I mean, no, I think that's what people assume. Yeah, they probably have a little more weight than you have. And because they're a countryman, yeah, on that respect alone, yeah, I'd have to say so. But proving themselves, they have to go through the same crap of providing evidence and everything else as you would have to go through, being a victim of something like this. So it's quite a concerted effort to do that. You're trying to protect your reputation, you're trying to protect your character, you're trying to protect your own life in a way. When somebody makes an accusation towards you, it's either true or it's not. And if it's not true, you make sure that or whatever governmental organization that's involved in this on a report knows all the facts and details of that. You have to protect yourself. I mean, there's no question about it. You got to do whatever it is you have to do. If you want to remain in this country and someone makes some allegations on you, bar none, do whatever you need to do. Go all the way out to prove that the person is a less than wonderful person. To do something like that, fully knowing that it ain't right, that it's lies, and it's to satisfy somebody else. Revenge, vengeance, just to satisfy somebody. That's not even worth satisfying. It was a total fuck up to begin with. You want to put yourself in a position like that to defend somebody's situation in jail because that's your boyfriend, knowing that the guy is a complete fucking loser, a complete troublemaker, and you want to defend that. You want to take the chance of legal ramifications to satisfy the boyfriend's request. I'm mad. You put me in jail. You put me through trial. No, you did. You put yourself through that. I can't emphasize this more. In this situation that I'm talking about, the individual put himself in that position. He should have done certain things that he did. He had no choice with all the evidence to plead guilty. He had no choice. Because the evidence was there. Either you got the evidence, you don't have the evidence. It's one way or the other. If you really don't have the evidence you could really prove, then you're in a bad position. And you, as the accuser, could be facing certain ramifications legally. You got to think before you do something like that. Now, you may not like somebody on here. Okay, you don't have to. There's no law that says you have to like any particular YouTubers on here. Believe me, I got a list of YouTubers I don't like on here at all. Okay. But I'm not going to do anything to them unless they've done something so horrible to me. Never mind just words and certain degree with words. I mean, that is, like in this other guy's situation, it was exactly his words that got him on a trial. So, yeah, only that would start getting us to segue into freedoms, speech. I don't want to segue into that. But you could say what you want, but remember, it's according to what you say. There could be ramifications of that too. So you want to live in the Philippines? You think it's a wonderland? It's a great place. I mean, I'm not, it is a great place. I'm comfortable here, and but you got to realize, you're like on another planet here. You're visiting an alien planet when you come to the Philippines and live here, because there's so much differences in culture. You might as well be on an alien planet. It's not far from the truth. It's also like going in a time machine where infrastructure is like 50 or 100 years old. These are things you got to consider. So stop complaining about the infrastructure and everything else. Go back to your very modernized, you know, or go to some fancy place in Manila somewhere, I don't know, what is it, BGC, whatever the fuck, and Cavite or whatever. I mean, go somewhere that, has that Western look to it. Or go to IG Park area in Cebu or whatever has that nice Western feel with manageable sidewalks and stuff like that. You can find what you want out here. There is some diversity, in places to live, even climate. There's places that have a cool climate. You could choose to live there too. You can make choices while you're living out here. There's no excuses. There are choices you can make. More desirable place to live according to how much money you want to spend. But generally, you get what you pay for, pretty much. You could live in a crime ridden community. And, even where I live, it's not without crime. And just yesterday, I find out her good friend that runs a store actually here, she just got robbed. She has a CCTV camera, but what happened was, in fact, the guy lived right across the street, across the road, and he would frequent that little store. She opened up, it wasn't, hasn't been there too long, a couple of months. Sell some chicken, and they sell other stuff, and cigarettes, and this and that, and little minor stuff like you find in these sorry stores. Nice gal. Well, anyway, somewhere in the structure at the top, somewhere near the roof, there's some kind of an opening or something. This guy must have perused the place. How could I get in here? And she had CC cams. She had one outside, she had one inside. Fortunately, they did get him on camera on the inside, but he thought that was the only camera outside. So he went to cover it up. Went to cover it up. Anyway, he got in there through this crack, and by the way, he scratched his arm in the process of doing it, which is another evidence too. I think they're going to go get him this morning. Actually, this is how fresh it is. They're going to go get him this morning. Right across the road he lives. Right across the road. Right across. And they got him on camera. They got him. What they do is look at his arm, and he stole a bunch of cigarette packs. And sorry stores usually have to have a lot of change in their coins to make change for the customers. And they had left some of the change in there. He took some change and other stuff. Well, they know who he is now. The policeman went right to his house this morning. He forgot that there was a camera inside. He thought that was the only camera. I guess he didn't peruse the place well enough. So he's going to get his ass in jail. People who do you wrong have to pay for it now and then, one way or the other. Believe me, my girlfriend knows. She was at a prosecutor's office yesterday. She sure was. Taking care of some of her own business, too. It turns out two other people were at the same prosecutor's office for the same problem. So the person that was involved in this matter is in big fucking doo-doo. All the proof in the world, all the evidence in the world you need. It's an instant thing that the fiscal took upon his lap and said, no problem here. We can see the evidence, and boy, yeah, I'm willing to take this on and get the person subpoenaed, give them 10 days to respond to the subpoenas, how it works. If they don't respond to it, well, the prosecutor sets this over to court. Then they face the realities and they go to court. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, she did have a bad dealing with somebody, had nothing to do with land. Had nothing to do with land. But it did involve a lot of money. And the person who was screwing, she didn't just mess around with my girlfriend. Oh my God. Oh my God. Numerous other people. So she's going to wind up having a rash eventually in jail for at least 10 years, I would imagine, maybe more. It's according to how much Estafa was involved and any other thing. Then one of these people that went to prosecute is also getting her in another thing. for cyber libel on what the person, the perp in this situation that we're talking about, said about her on Facebook. So she is facing so much shit, and it's so easy to. Let me tell you, it's easy to happen. It's easy to happen. Don't try to take advantage of somebody in any way. Don't come back at you, or you get killed or something out here. When it comes to money, shit, you can get killed over fucking 500 or 1,000 pesos if you owe Filipino money. They do it amongst each other. And imagine if you owe millions to somebody. Well, fortunately for me and Gilda, we're not going to go out there and commit murder over money. That ain't going to happen, but there's better ways of dealing with it. Look what Barry went through. He's regretting every fucking minute of it. There are legal matters you can take, and that's what you do. You take remedy by legal matters. And especially if you got more evidence than you ever need in the world. Shut case, it's like a no questions. Everything right there. Paperwork from a lawyer, everything. Just the best evidence you could possibly ever had. Just like me and Barry. So you gotta watch what you do, even as a Filipino out here, a Filipino. I know people are scamming each other left and right and left all the time, and it's not just between foreigners and Filipinos and all that. It's amongst each other out here. It happens every single day. Yeah. We know personally a guy, and I don't, advocate drugs, that kind of shit, street drugs. We have a personal friend. We're godfather to their children. Her husband decided to do a favor for somebody and make a delivery of some kind of drugs of some sort. I don't know what it was. Shabu, just call it shabu. He got caught in the process. First time. He's been in jail over a year now, awaiting to be released finally. He's going to be released any day now, actually. He had to serve time on this. There were complications with that, and otherwise he'd be gone a long. He would have been in jail a long time, but he got lucky on this one. I see it happen to me all the time. Yeah, even in my little town, which is, it's no Andy of Mayberry town. I never said it was. It's a good town. It is low here, but it does happen. Killings are very rare around here. But this drug activity, there's all that stuff, and it goes on here, it goes on in every province, every single province. There's always drug activity going on. Always. There ain't a province in the freaking country that there ain't drug activity going on. There are a lot of people addicted, whether it's alcohol or shabu. It's a whole lot of it. People need coping mechanisms, and sometimes alcohol and drugs and shit, are their coping mechanism, especially out here. Drinking is like out of control, but drugs are out of control too. No matter what happened with the big scare with the Duterte administration back in his quest to eradicate drugs and sales and all that. Oh, they were scared. They were scared, but people who are addicts, they take that chance, no matter what administration's in there. They got to get their drug of choice. They have to. It's an addiction, and they're willing to take chances. But it shows an educational thing all on its own, because I'm covering some really pertinent stuff that people need to listen and adhere to, because you're having a good old time in the Philippines. It is a wonderful place to live, but like any place in the world, it's going to have its downfalls, and as I call it, bugaboos. But you got to wisen up, know what could be ahead of you, and think of how you would handle the situation. Well, how do bus drivers? How do they handle it? They run over you twice. I'm not kidding. I told that story. That's a practice out here. And one particular situation I know, but I know it happens all the time. Bus driver, I don't know, he hit a pedestrian. The pedestrian was still hurt. He was still alive, but the bus driver realized this could be the end of my job. I got to feed my family. I know I'm in the wrong when I hit this guy. And my boss is going to be pissed because if they have to pay any hospitalization, I might be forced to pay for the hospitalization for the guy, not my company. I can't let that happen. So what does a bus driver do? He runs over the guy again to make sure he's dead. Because dead men tell no tales. Yeah, that's common out here too. Welcome to the Philippines. Well, the sign says, if they still have it up, I'm not sure, near the airport. It's more fun in the Philippines. Well, realistically, it can be fun. Absolutely. There are activities if you're really more of an active person. Sure, it's hiking, swimming, scuba diving, all kinds of stuff you could do out here. And there's a good side and bad side. It's just about everything. But there's a bad side also to the Philippines. Look, I'm not working for the Department of Tourism. I say that all the time. And I'm certainly not going to be sponsored by Department of Tourism out here. I just tell it like it is. Yeah, it's a good place. Simply spoken, it's a good place to live. But you just got to be aware of things. That's all. Got to be aware of your environment. You got to be aware of people that speak in forked tongue. You got to be aware of people who have an agenda. Good one there. Be aware of people who have a hidden agenda. And some of the very much friends you make that even could be foreigners out here. That's why I don't hang around with foreigners. They're the worst. They're the worst. Envy, jealousy, or they just come to this country with their problems. They don't let go of their problems. Like I said, no matter where you go, there you are. So if you're a shithead from your old country and you move here, you're probably going to be a shithead out here in the Philippines. You just carry yourself wherever you go. I can't state that enough, but I'll continue stating that. If you're a troublemaker in your country, you're probably going to be a troublemaker here. If you got mental problems in another country, you're still going to have mental problems here. Some things don't change. But this is not the country to fuck around in, is what I'm saying. Maybe you could get away with some shit in America. But there's some shit out here that you can't get away with. They take things very seriously. Look what's happening to Vitali. There's always a topic matter out these days. He made the Philippine people look really bad. They weren't going to have that. He's going to be made an example of, guaranteed. I don't think he's going to get out of this, no matter how much money his father, who's come to visit him, puts out. You have to put out a lot of money to get out of that situation. Even Russia here is denouncing him or something. It's what people think that they could get away with on YouTube. Let's look at Jay, for example. He's just one example of many. Jay runs his mouth all the fucking time. But whether it's me or anybody else he's talking about, as far as a meetup or, putting his money where his mouth is, he's not going to go through with it because he feels the safety of his laptop or cell phone, whatever. Well, I'm never going to meet up with anybody. Oh, excuses. I don't want to get involved in law. He might have lawyers around. He might have police around. It might be a setup. That's just a cowardice excuse. I think if you're going to say anything, you know, follow through. Follow through. And find out, how big and bad your adversary really is. Is he a concern? Is he old and frail, like you might think? Yeah. These things you just never really know. But it's easy to run your mouth on here. You can say whatever the hell you want about anybody, right? You see, that's what they think. That's what they think. Look, nobody out there in the beginning, nobody out there in the beginning ever thought that Barry would go to jail and get arrested for his immigration. fact, he never thought he would. And nobody else thought he would either. But I made that motherfucker thing happen. Nobody thought that he'd be incarcerated for 2 years. Nobody thought that there'd be a case on him with 5 charges. Never going to happen. He never thought that. But it did happen. And, bringing you up to pace on it, everything's going on with that. Hello, Mr. Loser. Hopefully what happened to Vitaly will make these other vloggers stop. Well, take the hint, I see the thing is on YouTube, you could only get away with so much on here. Do I address these people on here? Yes, I do address these clowns on here. And I do it with vim and vigor. I like to tell the truth and just paint the picture. I don't make up shit on here. I don't make up my college education. I don't make up what I do for a living. I don't make up anything. I will acknowledge certain things that apply to me, that have been brought forward. They're either true or not. You can only hide the truth for so long, anyone. But I will tell you, there's a lot of people out here that got a lot of things to hide. And when they get exposed for it, well, that's a different story now. Oh, the tables have turned. The tables have turned, and they don't like it. Well, if you don't like it, then stop talking about me or whoever else that you like to harass and harangue and all that other shit and dox. And tables could turn. Barry didn't think it would happen, did he? Barry is the prime example. I set an example here on YouTube. I certainly did. I set a fucking precedent. And what could happen will happen. I set a big precedent. Even Peter Van Dever, to my knowledge, never went to jail. Maybe they took him in for not paying his Wi-Fi bill or something at a restaurant or something, but I don't think he went to jail for anything. But Barry did. Like I said, you can only get away with so much out here. And I understand completely. But you feel very protected. You're behind your phone, and you might even be thousands of miles away. And as one really big creep would always state, I'm going to call you a child predator too. There's nothing you can do about it. Ain't a goddamn thing you could do about it. How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you really know that? If somebody's really determined to do something, there's nothing stopping them. I don't care where you live outside of the country. You got to keep that in mind. It's according to how gung-ho you are about this person. People, change. Some people say enough, and they get the job done. Like Chris and Sabu, it gets the job done. But sometimes you got to get the job done. They could harass and harangue you, whatever, all they want, and figure they can get away with all that shit. Nothing's going to happen. Until you get knowledgeable about them, then you find out things about their background because they've been doing research on you. Well, touche. But it hurts when you bring their past to the surface, doesn't it, Don? As one of them. Yeah, Don did have a fucking bankruptcy. But I seen him making comments on people. Frank is lying. I never had a bankruptcy. He had a bankruptcy. I've seen this whole fucking sheet of all his jobs, everything he had. Divorce, death in the family of a wife, all that shit. I know all that shit. And he had a bankruptcy, a Chapter 7 is what he had. Well, shit happens, sir. It happened to you. It happened to me. We don't all live in a perfect world. Far from. There's no such thing as a perfect world. Environmentally, physiologically, mentally, there's no such thing as a perfect world. Unless you're fucking sitting there stoned all the time and nothing bothers you. Sometimes, you remember that statement I made on there that somebody who's mentally challenged, somebody who has Down syndrome, that sometimes you look at this horrible disability that they have, but is it a disability when a lot of them don't even know what the hell is going on? As long as they eat, they find something to play with, or they're being good, taken care of in a good way, they're happy as a clam. They don't know any better, a lot of them. Not all of them. It's according to the level of disability, on your mental disability that you have. But in a way, they're oblivious to what's going on around them. But they can identify hurt. They can be scared. They still have all those emotions, but they're generally oblivious to a lot of things going on. To them, they are normal. And maybe everybody else is disabled in that sense too. You were born maybe with one leg or something. I mean, to you, it's not a big deal. You were born that way. Unless you got into an accident, had to lose a leg, that's devastating. But if you were born with a deformity or something, you live with your deformity, right? Same thing. You live with your deformity. And it's part of you. And people will make note of your deformity, as an example. And as cruel as people are, they'll make fun of it. Everybody has a perfect vision of what a human's supposed to look like. Some people are fatter than other people. They're skinnier. They have horrible features. They look like Aborigines or Neanderthals. They were born that way. But when they look in a mirror, they don't see what other people see. But it's not the external thing that people see. It's the character of the person, which is ugly. Not necessarily the exterior. It's the character, the persona of this person that is ugly. And you can't get rid of that. You could have plastic surgery to fix an ugly face. If you got a pig nose, you've got space between your teeth, you see a dentist. Or you can see a surgeon for your pig nose. But what you have inside, you can't get rid of that. That's embedded in you. So if you're a creep, you're always going to be a creep. If you got hate in you, you're always going to have hate in you. True hate. Not solicited accusations of hate, but true hate, true bitterness. That's hard to remove from somebody. It's with you all the time. A lot of YouTubers try to get away with a lot of shit on here, but historically, and even go outside of the Philippines genre. Do you realize how many millions of people go on YouTube? How many millions and millions of people have YouTube channels around the world? The trouble they get into for having a show? There's going to be people that find reasons not to like you. And you may come into some people that have some real psychological problems that could be dangerous. Oh, yeah. You don't know what you're dealing with half the time. You don't know how far somebody's going to go. You just don't know that. So you got to be aware of this all the time. You got to be on alert. If you really want to hang on YouTube and you're very boisterous and you got a lot to say about somebody and a lot of bad things to say about somebody, the unexpected can sometimes happen, even though they feel nothing's going to happen. Hello, Region. Okay, here we go already. Jay's beady eyes could be a sign of fetal alcohol syndrome. Jay looks like a kid whose mom was drinking when pregnant. Well, I don't know all the biological stuff. Anything's possible. I don't know. But Jay's ugliness is not just his exterior. It's who he is. It's how he treats women. Why do you think he's hanging around with Barry? Two peas in a pod. There's a reason why people like that are drawn together. They got something in common. It naturally happens. People are drawn to each other, even relationships. They got something in common. But it's not Apple Man's external ugliness, which is very apparent in every way. It's what's inside, how bitter he is. And, there's a lot of factors how he was raised, Alcoholism, I think, was in the family, if I'm not mistaken. And alcoholism takes its toll on people. It gets them into trouble all the time. They get upset real easily when they're drinking. And they say things that they later on might regret, or they figure maybe I'm not going to regret it. I'm going to say it whether I'm sober or drunk. And nothing's going to happen to me. Frankie, you're not going to do nothing, Frankie. I beg to differ on that. Should we go back to Barry Jordan? Can I go back to Fazio? When Fazio tried to do something with me with the NBI and got thrown out? Are we forgetting that? Are we forgetting that? Yeah. And he was pissed. It didn't work out for him. He tried and tried, but they threw it out the window. Did I ever tell you the story when he was there at the NBI office that, boy, he just kept on staring at Gilda. Sometimes he couldn't keep his eyes off her. She was standing up to the side. She wasn't sitting. And we're at this desk with this director or whatever, and Fazio was sitting right beside of me. I could, if I moved my knee 1 inch, it would be touching his thighs or something. That's how close we were. That was dangerous. Oh, that was dangerous. But he was checking Gilda out head to toe. I swear to you. Checking her out head to toe. Like wishing, God, why can't I have something like that? And you should have seen him in there. When it wasn't working out his way, he was like yelling at the director or whoever the prosecution guy was there in a high position. And he was temperamental like you wouldn't believe. He had 3 outbursts. 3 outbursts. And I'm just sitting there taking my lawyer's advice. Cool as a cucumber. Cool as a cucumber. Now, what's that? Jay thinks it's cool. He spent some time in jail. It almost sounds like he's bragging about it. Total loser. Yeah, he spent time in jail. See all the background of these people that talk about me? And says, plus the behavior issue Jay has. That's a tells a tail sign. Yeah. But it's not the ugliness on the outside. It's the ugliness on the inside of the shit that they think they can get away with. And I can name names on here. You know who they are. Try to get away with as much as they can. One guy lives like, I don't know, what the fuck is it? Florida, 15,000 miles away. I don't know what the fuck it is. And he claims that there's nothing you can do to me. I can call you a child predator. I'm going to say whatever I want. And there's nothing you can do about it, Frank. Well, there is things I can do about it. If I had to get transferred back to the States, well, who says I can't travel in the States if I wanted to take it in that direction? You know what I'm saying? You got my point, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes hiding behind that protective barrier, your laptop or your phone, just doesn't work all the time. MJ, right? Did he get attacked by somebody? Yeah. Jerry had to do something with Jerry. Oh God, don't trust Jerry. Jerry goes under a lot of sock names. Oh, hell yeah, if you didn't figure that out. Jerry's a real antagonist, that's for sure. But sometimes people push things so far they can't get out of it. It all turns on these people. People already understand my tenacity, and they don't want to fuck around with my tenacity. They know I mean what I say, and I do what I say I'm going to do. If I'm going to fight something, I'm going to fight hard, as if my life depended on it. That's who I am. I don't expect everybody to be like me. But if you believe in something strong enough, then you go with your beliefs and your values and your morals and everything else, and you take care of business, and you right or wrong. That's what you do. That's what you have to do. Because sometimes people just get a wee bit too carried away. Wee bit. And they think you don't know any information as to who they are. Whether they have a copycat channel, no matter what, they think that you don't know who they are. You don't know any information about them. You'd be surprised how the information highway comes through on here. A lot of it is bullshit. A lot of it is leading people on, but some of it is real. And I've received communiques from people that were proven the information they gave to me. Proven. Just like Don C denies he had a bankruptcy because he wants to save face. Hey, I had a couple of bankruptcies, man. I sure did. But I went, stood on my feet and bought a house. I got this, that, this. And I carried on with my life. Shit happens sometimes. Sometimes it's something you did for sure that you should have, Shoulda, coulda, woulda type of thing. Handle things a little bit differently, and he wouldn't be in that problem. Sometimes people make mistakes that you got to pay for, legitimately. Legitimately. Okay, let's see. Regent says it's all fun and games until you end up in a Philippines prison for a few years. Yeah, exactly. Ah, Coin Society. Good morning, Frank. Just finished my walk. What did I miss? Oh, I don't know. We're just talking about how people try to pull shit on people on here and try to get away with it. How people can make allegations that are not true and have to pay for it later on legally. How they're influenced by other people to do so, by money, by pressure, by whatever, peer pressure, whatever it might be. And the ramifications are not always good. Well, we talk about other things too, crimes that happen even in small towns like mine. Talk about a friend of ours that, got robbed their store overnight. Guy lived right across the street. He was on camera. He thought there was only one camera in front of there. I touched that. A lot of people doing a lot of weird things. I got this mentally challenged girl that walks around the neighborhood. She might have even been in my yard this morning. When I woke up, I heard my dogs barking. I seen she was walking around outside down the road walking. She's the one that goes and sits in people's cars and trikes and opens the gate. The possibility of dangerous dogs. I mean, just she don't even know what she's doing. One night we found her standing there on the camera, in the back of my house, just standing there, playing with her hair. She don't even know what she's doing half the time. She's like in her own world. But what can you do? She's mentally unstable, but she's not dangerous. So, you're not going to call the police on her. If you confront her, whether how much she understands, I don't know. You could just say, hey, please, you shouldn't be going into my yard like that, okay? Say very nicely. You don't want to get in their bad side, especially with somebody who's mentally challenged. You're going to say, you abuse this person. You can't get away. Like we would also talk about stuff you just can't get away with out here and how people will take advantage of you out here if you allow them to. People you trusted as a friend turn on you. Maybe you gave them money in the past. They figure they can always come back to you for something. Then you don't give them, and you made an enemy. They take advantage of you, of your generosity. But we all cover that subject. It's a topic that's covered here all the time. Because it just happens to be true. Okay, let's see. Coins. Frank, I ordered something from Amazon. That company, Ninja. Delivery is contracted with Amazon to deliver here. What a piece of shit delivery company. Well, I'm still waiting for my degree. Coming anytime. Conestoga wagon, perhaps. I don't know. I had a few glitches in the delivery. I wound up in Mandawi, and where it wound up from there, I really don't know. I guess I'll find out. And the lady was nice. I talked to her afterwards. She said, "Don't worry, we'll remedy that if we have to." So we send shipping packages to all countries, China, everywhere. They're always shipping. Sometimes they're shipping things out to people from a college. I don't know what they're shipping out, but it could be paperwork for the student, whatever, such as my degree. Remember, I lost my degree before I moved into this house I bought. I looked and looked and looked through every fucking box time and time again, just to really satisfy myself because I was really curious. What the hell happened? I'm very good. I keep all my important documents together, birth certificates, baptismal, divorce papers, all that kind of shit. I keep them together, you know. And this was a good sized document, well, legal size, what a document would be for like a diploma, degree. Couldn't find it. Couldn't find it. Even living here, I went through my boxes time and time again. I couldn't find it. So the only thing I could think of is I threw it away with a lot of other paperwork at the other house that I was renting and got mixed in with some garbage. So anyway, I went to the trouble of contacting the last college where I got the degree, which is School of Visual Arts in New York City. And they're doing this favor. They're not even asking me for money. I'm shocked. I'm really shocked. Because like I said, even my bank, if I had to replace my card because it's expiring in Hawaii, the credit union I belong to, yeah, they'll send it to me. It costs about at least $75, at least, maybe 100. But you'll get it from them. They'll send it express. And I've never had a problem getting it. But then New York, It's really amazing where it goes. As I said, your Federal Express goes to Newark, New Jersey from there. Then it goes, I don't know, Indianapolis, Indiana, winds up somewhere, winds up in Alaska, of all places, then winds up in China or somewhere before it makes its way to the Cebu region, which in this case it would be the Mandawi. I guess they have a FedEx over there or something, I don't know, center. And that's where it was last. So I was just waiting to see what happens on that. Yeah. You've had two deliveries now from Ninja. Both were like pulling teeth. Yeah, I heard something about Ninja. Yeah, I wouldn't go. I just, I deal with one shipping company. I deal with Lasada. I get all kinds of stuff from Lasada, and most of the time I was satisfied. There were several times I got the wrong product. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. Who ordered this? I never ordered. This is not what I ordered. Not even remotely. I ordered a dog bed one time on Lasada. It's a big, it's a big dog, bed, fluffy and everything for a big dog. You know what we got? We got these two little 24-inch long little pieces of carpet with pictures of dog bones on it. They were 24 inches long by about, I don't know, 14 inches wide or something. I don't know the exact measure, but you get the picture. They didn't order that. I thought it was ordering a full-size dog bed for them, which we wound up picking up one in S&R, but we used it a lot. It got so bad I had to throw it away. Actually, I burned it about a month ago. You don't even wash this thing. It's hard to wash it in a wash. This is a big son of a bitch. Absorbs a lot of water, and it's a problem to wash it. So if I come across one of these dog beds again, I'm definitely going to buy one. And what you have to do is you have to cover it with another little sheet or something so that you're not soiling the surface and all that. But yeah, I've had some bad orders. I absolutely have. Things that I never ordered. But for the most part, now if it's coming out of Manila, you'll get this product pretty fast. And I order some things that'll come right out of Manila. And I'll get that pretty. My God, within 2 days, I've had things came to my door within 2 days, whether it was some vitamin supplement or something that I ordered. I said, "It's here already." I just put an order in for that damn thing, and it came really quick. Coins, as I said, I've personally been doing Lasada always. I like it a lot. Good return policy. I never tried to return. Well, except if it's something I didn't order or something I didn't want, I tell them I can't accept. Well, I'll just come up with an excuse and say, "Hey, I called them or left a message and said I don't. I decided I don't want this order." That's what you got to do. But you see, here's the thing: you order something, right? And you can't rip open the package when it comes here to see what it is. You can't do that, as far as I know, to make sure it's the right item. Now they're kind of sort of putting on a label. Sometimes they put a small description on there what the item is on there. In the past, I've never seen that, but so I've had a lot of orders that came here that were not exactly what I ordered. They were so radically different than anything I ordered. But if you rip up in a package, you're going to have to pay more likely. Or you can be adamant about it and say, "Hey, delivery boy, nah, I'm not paying for this. This is not what I ordered. Here, I'll tape this up for you, whatever, but I'm not paying you for it." You have the right to do that. You have the right to do that. Don't pay. I mean, if you didn't, but you always be able to, exchange the product. Just don't tear the box apart. Try to keep the inner, packing in the box, whatever. Definitely keep the instruction manual, whatever it is you bought. You have no problem getting your money back. In other cases, with Walmart, they'll still accommodate you because um, they will say, "Well, we'll give you store credit rather than giving you money." They think we're going to give them anything back. Well, let them spend it again in the store. As I said, there's a big difference between providing a receipt, providing, "Oh, I just bought this the other day," and they can see from the coding on the box, the price coding that it does come from Walmart. They could differentiate. They bought it in that store or not. But Walmart has always had a really good policy. I never really had a problem with Walmart, no matter what it was. I might have bought something and I changed my mind and said, "No, what the fuck did I buy this for? I don't really need it." I'd go back and there would be no problem. Just get in line with everybody else, have a little patience, show them your ID and all that stuff, and you got the receipt, show them the receipt. It makes it easier. They're going to examine the box. They might say, well, where's the instruction manual? Where's this and that? But they'll still, it just get to the point that maybe they don't want to give you the money. They'll just give you store credit. And since you're shopping there already, you're not out of money. You can always go and search around for something else that you might need. So it works. It worked out really well in that. Philippines said it is weird. You can return anything to Lazada, but you never can return things to the local stores. Yes, exactly. Exactly. You can't. There's no return policy here in the Philippines with retail stores. Not even the big malls. Nope. No refund. And that's kind of a bummer. Excuse the expression. No return. And that's sad because sometimes people make mistakes on their decisions and they spent a lot of money on something, then realized that I don't need this after all, or it doesn't work the way I thought it would, or it doesn't do or perform the way I anticipated. And you should have the right to do that if it's a reputable retailer that you're buying from. You should. But that, like I said, this is the Philippines. Things are different out here, Joe. I've been emphasizing this whole show. Some things are fair and some things are not fair about how they do things, legally and otherwise. Bingo to Coin Society. Oh, yeah, bingo to Philippines. Yeah, on that statement. Buyer beware. Buyer beware. There's nothing guaranteed in this country. Not a guarantee you can even stay in this country. Decide to make this country your home, but there's always some bugaboo somewhere that can come up that you don't expect. Something you got to think about. It's near and dear to my heart, I'll tell you that. But the point I'm also saying on this show, you don't have to tolerate what you don't want to tolerate. Well, legal things you have to. I mean, the government says, you know, don't do this crime or something. You do the crime, you're going to pay for it. But there are people out there that have special motives, get special motivation to do something against you as a foreigner. And you don't have to be a foreigner. They do it with each other out here to get what they want. Again, revenge, all that shit. And you know the story of that. We're not going to go dive into that again. We know exactly what's going on with that. It's not a funny situation to me. Never has been. So sometimes you got to take the matter in your hands by no choice. Always defend what you think is right. The best thing I could tell you. Defend it to death if you have to, but always defend what you think is your rights. If somebody's doing you wrong on here, I mean, truly doing you wrong, not just words or hearsay, because they don't like you, and not even hairspray. Hearsay and hairspray. What are you barking at now? They're good watchdogs, I gotta tell you. They don't miss a trick. Look at them. They don't miss a trick. They're not some big gargantuous dogs, but let me tell you something. They are protective of this property. This is their home. They want to protect their home and the people that live in there that they love. That's my girls. That's my girls. They could be more than my girls than if they were my own fucking blood. Blood don't mean shit, as you people have ascertained through my shows. Blood relationships don't mean shit. They'll turn on you too. Oh, that never happens. It sure does. Frank, to Jay's credit, he did make a buck on Bitcoin. Well, where is this buck? And how do you know? He's never shown anything. If he made all that money, why is he living with his mummy? Come on, get real. You get too gullible. Yeah, Philippine says, why doesn't Jay show his Bitcoin? He likes to show phony resolution papers, though. He could waive that. Fraudulent. But he won't show his Bitcoin wallet. Right. He's making so much coin. Exactly. Philippine says, I call bullshit. Well, so do I. You can't believe anything anybody says on here. So why even bother to listen? It gets to that point where either you're bored to death on people's shows here, because it's the same fucking rhetoric, the same shit, different day. Again, how much does it cost to live in the Philippines? Watch out for these kind of Filipinos. Don't buy a house or something. Don't be a simp. Over and over and over and over again, just to keep that algorithm going, It's all about making a couple of $100 or so a month. And boy, with some people that get punished to make that few $100s a month, it's not worth it. Is it worth it if you're making thousands per month? Well, that's still debatable. If somebody could take your life or something, is it worth making 10 grand a month? If it means you have to stay on YouTube and people threaten your life, or maybe you actually been accosted by somebody, is it worth? I know, what's his name? What's that guy's from New York? He used to be the top of the chain besides Mr. Beast and other people. What was his freaking name? He got off YouTube. This guy made millions. See, out of sight, out of mind. He's been off for quite a while now. That guy from New York. Boy, he had sponsors like you wouldn't believe. He probably got free cars. He got, I mean, this guy, free camera equipment. And that's just a small end of the scale. Something stat. Do you remember his name? Something stat. STADT is something precedes that. He was like top of the chain. Regent says Jay could easily show his Bitcoin wallet to shut up all his haters. It's completely anonymous. Now, people like to talk. They're trying to cover up what their real life is all about. You've been able to figure that out. Just horrendous with some of the problems in their relationship. And then you enticement. Which is it? Yeah, that's the question too. Casey Neistat, thank you. Yeah, he's not on anymore, my understanding. I don't know what the reason was. I heard something that there's too much bullshit. Jealous of people that become successful in some form or way, whether you have a successful YouTube channel or money or whatever it might be. People become jealous if you're living a good life. They haven't been able to achieve that goal of coming out here and get settled down, finding a right woman and all that, and being happy with your life. Some people don't want to see that happen. They will actually, intimidate you and get others to intimidate you, try to make your life miserable. Oh, that doesn't happen. There's no end on what these people will do or even capable of doing if they really put their soul into it. They have a soul. Yeah, Casey Neistat. Boy, that guy made money. And by the way, there are Filipinos here that are on the top of the list too. There are Filipinos that are making millions of dollars. I remember this one guy. I don't remember what channel this guy was, but he was a popular Filipino YouTuber of some sort. He bought his mother a house. He surprised her. They took her over in a car, fancy gates, really. Wow, isn't that is touching? through YouTube, whatever. And the fruit of your labor, the fruit of your business, whether it's on YouTube or whatever, you're going to share with the very person that raised you, has gone through. That's the best. Don't suck off your parents' tits like Jay with his mummy, but whether he had success in the past with Bitcoin, I remember when the market crashed with that too, and people were talking about that on YouTube. And Jay went broke. The bloke went broke. How do you know he ain't broke right now? If he wasn't broke, why isn't he living the high life? Why isn't he have his own pad, his own bachelor's pad? Why doesn't he have that? He likes the Philippines. Why don't he try to purchase a condo or something? He could purchase a condo. You don't need a Filipino signature on that. Why don't he buy his own little pad? He could bring all the little ladies in there that he wants and do whatever he wants. Doesn't have to rent some cheap fucking hotel, some backpacker hotel that he rents. Now, if he had money, he'd have a condo right here in the Cebu region. There's no question about it. But he can't let go of his mummy's apron strings. For the most part, exploitation. Yeah. And how do you think people get successful channels? They try to get interviewed on somebody's channel that's very successful. And people maybe that don't know who you are, all of a sudden just go, oh, this guy might be interested to listen to. And they give out the guy's YouTube channel. And that's happened with Tim K. And happened with many others. They appeared on somebody's channel. Just like the girlfriends of the guys that get popular. When their show gets popular, their girlfriend formulates her own channel. And she's making money too. That's how they do it on here. Like Paul on there. Nobody knows what the fuck he was at the beginning. He went with that one guy that's always giving out money to people traveling all over the place. Forgot his name too. It's been a long time. And he got on there and they discovered him and they decided to go follow him. That's how they do it on there. Or the easy way out, you put your Filipino on camera and all the horn toads out there, they will gravitate to that show because maybe in some form or way they find a woman attractive. Now, I got to be honest with you, and I'll say it again. Very few YouTubers out there, have I ever seen their wives or girlfriends, I thought, wow, this guy got really lucky. I have not seen that. There might have been a couple of them out there, kind of more obscure channels, but I have not seen that. So far, as far as my memory recalls, there's nobody that really stands out to me. And we have a popular Filipina out there. Was very successful with her channel. I'm not going to say her name. I don't find her attractive at all. She looks like a grasshopper. No names mentioned, please. Very successful, speaks wonderful English, fluent, knows how to draw a crowd in there, does the clickbait, all that shit too. All the elements she's got together. She's making good living, has her own house, doing very well, respected in her YouTube community. Yeah. Let's see. Regent says Casey Neistat was a big-time YouTuber. He also started the sharing app in 2015, and less than 2 years later, CNN bought the app for $25 million. I guess he retired it. Is that what happened? Because he was technically pretty knowledgeable, wasn't he? So he started a video file sharing app wonder what it is. Less than 2 years later, CNN bought the app for $25 million. I guess he retired it. I guess I would too. Well, the nonsense. Do you know what's involved with Casey Neistat and people of that caliber to put his shows on? Do you understand? He hires people. He has to do all this editing and everything. It's involved. There's a great amount of stuff and setting up stunts or setting up events, and just like Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast has a whole fucking crew. He has his slackies that hang around him on the show, and they make some pretty good money. He's got his, favorite flunkies, whatever, that are on his show. But, he has to hire this construction crews to set up all these setups and all these challenges. But there's some companies that sponsor him, so he's not always spending his money. The guy's got it down to an absolute art. It's an art form. To get to the point that you don't really, and he could be generous and offer people, 500,000 if they complete this little stunt of some sort, And he's making money from his subscribers. He's making money from them. He's making it from his sponsors. How do you think Tim K bought that FJ Cruiser and had money to buy this and that? Because people were sending him money. They bought that FJ Cruiser for him. Then he took advantage of people during the storms and stuff with his charitable shit. He was a louse on the skin of society in the Philippines. He had to get out. Part of it has to do with Christie wanting a career. But Tim was in trouble all the time out here. Andy Omar got himself in trouble of some sort. That's why he's been in hiding. A lot of people have skeletons in their closets. He produced 900 vlogs. Oh, Casey? 12.5 million subs. That's a lot. You talk about Casey now, right? Oh, no. You talk about Mr. Beast now. Mr. Beast, right? I know, because call my stepkids that live here. Pretty much they are. Marriage, no marriage. They watch all this shit, Even the littlest one. Everybody knows who Mr. Beast is. It's amazing to get to that platform of having that kind of subs. And I have a local guy that not terribly long ago started a YouTube channel. He was talking about that. How do these people get all these subs? He says, I think I have a large personality, a great sense of humor. And I've only got a couple thousand subs. I've made only $22 so far. Well, I kind of filled him in on what he's getting into, first of all. He's a nice guy. And he doesn't think big. He says, hell, if I could make even $200, and he's thinking right. He's thinking right. It's very hard to go big time on YouTube. Look how long I've been on. Of course, I would have a lot more subs than this. I kind of fucked my own channel up one time. I had 13,000 subs. That was my fault, what I did. But I wasn't making that much money. The most I was making was monetized. I came home with a $200 check or something. You got to have a special kind of show for the masses. Unfortunately, it's either extreme drama or putting your chick on camera. There's a lot of tricks of the trade they do. Or the typical one, clickbait. That's another one on the list too. But this local guy, and I understand him. He's not a person I think that's making a lot of money. I'm not even sure what he's living on. But nice. He seems like a nice enough guy. He's an intense sense of humor. He figures I got a personality. Why have I only got a couple thousand subs? Well, I guess there's things you got to do. You got to network. You got to network around. You got to do the metadata thing, whatever. In the description box. Whatever. You got to get your stuff out to the world so they could see it. And I never did that. Rarely. But he'd be happy of making $200 a month because that's about what he pays for his rent. And wouldn't that make your situation better? Of course it would. So even making $200 a month, that could be substantial for somebody to get one burden off your shoulders. So you now don't have to pay rent. Hey, I bought a house. Well, yeah, I extended a lot of money out and for a good purpose, but I don't have to pay any rent. Then you might say, well, look how much money you put out on that, Frank. Well, yeah, but I didn't really do it for me. I did it for her and her future. I have no problem with that at all. That was my whole intent. But meanwhile, it allows me to live rent-free in this place. And she don't have to pay her rent. And she'll own this house forever until she decides what she wants to do upon my death or so whatever. She could do whatever she wants. That's the whole idea why I got a house for her. Because if you love somebody and care for somebody enough, you're going to do these nice things. But don't run rampant in a short period of time of knowing somebody and make a big investment like that. Don't ever do that. I always encourage my viewers, don't step ahead of yourself on that shit, man. Regis says prior to his 25 million buyout, he had already made millions on YouTube. Yeah, and he could take that money and start other business, and it doesn't have to go through all that hassle. I told you, it's a business. It's a real business, YouTube. When you're making that kind of money, you got to always do shows. You feel obligated all the time. You don't want to lose your subs and your sponsors and all that shit. Look at a lot of these people. You got you know what? What's his name? That Swedish guy has a channel. He speaks fluent freaking Filipino language. Bisayan. Bisaya Bilao. Nice guy. Good looking guy. The women like him, very intelligent. Well, since his breakup with his girlfriend, which really strongly had an effect on him, he had a wonderful relationship, but they found that there were too many differences. They're good friends and all that, but he was hurt about this. He really was. And he just changed direction. He's concentrating on his interest, and now he's like sponsoring this very heavily, this new action camera made by some Chinese company or something, supposed to have, compare it to, GoPro and all that. Good white balance, go underwater, you're not going to see a lot of green, you'll see blue, sharp lens, really promoting this thing. You think he's doing it for nothing? He's getting sponsored. Look at Tim K. He was sponsoring that Catholic, whatever dating site, right? Let's see. None of these clowns are setting their partners up like you are with Gilda. Because they can't. I was in a position to do it. I didn't care about that. And believe me when I tell you, and I don't care if you do or not. Before I'd spend that kind of money doing what I did, I had to spend some time. And it took 6 years into my relationship. I've said this before. It wasn't a month after I met her. It was 6 fucking years before I decided to go in that direction. 6 years. 6 years. Anyway, and I know what I was doing. I had no doubt about it. What I was doing was right. And, if your girlfriend, wife, or whatever is treating you righteously, she's very nurturing, you know, she's your lover, your friend, your caretaker, your confidant, your buddy. This is what you do for them. If you can afford to do it, don't put yourself in a bad position if you can't afford to do it, okay? Especially with somebody you don't know very long. And oh my God, the stories out there, the horror stories. People have spent their whole bank account on a woman to kind of buy her relationship, to buy her love. You can't buy love. You can certainly buy her attention. You can buy her companionship. You can't buy love. And there's some people on here that have big wallets. They think they can buy love. When it's not love, because these women are gravitated to their fat wallet to go to these 5-star restaurants and take them on little trips here and there. It's not about love. It has nothing to do with love. It has something to do with how fat your wallet is. And we know that as a fact, don't we? We know that. We've seen it. We've heard it. We know that as a fact. That's a shallow relationship to me. It's completely shallow. Completely. And then when you can't even show, faithfulness to your own wife, come on, seriously. What's it all about? Well, that's what it's all about. Showing power through the size of your wallet and getting women that way and getting other women that way to be involved in you when you know it's totally fucking shallow. Your ship is going to go aground in shallow, rock-filled waters when you do something like that. And I know people that had trouble with that too, and it turned on them, had to pay people a lot of money, had to pay to remedy such situation. Had to make an amicable agreement with said or such Filipina to make things right. You want to live your life that way? Shit. It's not the way I want to live my life. Hell no. Hell no. That's not me. Might be you, but it's not me. I draw the line on some shit. The one thing is faithfulness. I think that's a really important element in a relationship. If one party can't be faithful, then why the fuck are you in a relationship? And then even the choices you make in that relationship, it really was bizarro world to me. Oh, through the years, there was I'd witnessed certain YouTubers out there through the years that they get together with the most creepiest fucking broads, and they have a lot of money. And I say to myself, wait a minute, with all that money, you think you'd have the best choices out here in the Philippines. They wind up with someone that, well, let's just say that it's not very attractive. Why? When you got all that fucking money, you get the best Filipinos that's on the market. And I do mean on the market. You heard me right. On the market. Why do you end up with something like that? That always was something that always came to my attention. I see none of these clowns are setting their partners up like, okay, got that. I do the best I can. And believe me, she's so absolutely worth it. Let's say I lucked out in my life. I met some women that I really thought in my life that they were the ones. It turned out they weren't the ones. And something, whatever was looking out for me over my shoulders. Said, no, this ain't gonna work out for you. Call it faith. I don't know what you want to call it, but as I look back in retrospect, I said, thank goodness I didn't marry this person or whatever, because I would have really been fucked up. And then, not that looks for everything, but I've seen every now and then I come across maybe some girl I was involved with sometime. I look her up on Facebook for the hell of it to see if she's still alive. How you doing? Not usually the case. I don't do that very often. But then I might see some profile pictures on them and see, is that the same person that I dated? You got to be fucking kidding me. For real? What freak of nature happened? Then I say to myself, man, you're lucky, dude. You look, they might have been beautiful and everything at the time, but that was a lot of years ago, my friends. That was a lot of years ago. Oh, yeah, just to show you, I was talking about what I ordered on. This was supposed to be a big dog bed. Look, here, lay it on the floor. Let me lay it on the floor from Lasada. We got two of these. Look, my hand. Look, that's what I ordered. It's not what I ordered, but that's what we got back. That's what we got back. Okay, I don't know what I'm eating. Finish my cup of tea. But don't listen to these clowns on here because they don't always have their shit going. They're trying to make you believe that they are, but they're really not. There she is. A second good morning to you, my love. Yeah, I'm on here. Ah, you just can't believe what you hear because their lifestyle is not always what they're trying to make it out to be. I got my lovely here, she's very worthy of my attention. She's worthy of whatever I do for her because she does it for me too. People on here should be happy for other people that at least got some part of your life together in some form or way. You met the right person, you should be happy for them. A lot of people come from an unhappy background. As I said, a lot of people are running away from something rather than running towards something. But if you get lucky enough in the Philippines here, that you will find that woman. You know, it's general relationship drives these haters crazy. I know. God God, Gilda is the sweetheart of the rodeo here, man. There's nothing bad about her at all. And I don't display her. She just rarely ever comes on my camera unless she's in the background or maybe she has something to say now and then, but that's rare. You know, excuse me. But, you know, couldn't be nobody sweeter than her. And that upsets people. It really upsets people. They don't want to see somebody be happy out here. And of course, the denominator is that these people have their own unhappiness. Things are not going the way they planned in life. And that's not through your own fault. And that's sad because, you only have one life. Spend it with somebody that's compatible with you. And she doesn't speak perfect English either. That don't bother me. If I don't understand something, I'll sit and repeat it because I also have bad hearing too. But she speaks good enough English. She's fine. Fine. Doesn't speak fluent English like someone like, I don't know, Filipina P or something like that. But it works for me. English is not her first language, as well as every other Filipino out here. It's not their first language out here. It's amazing that they know English at all. I take that as a real good thing about living in the Philippines, that at least people have the grasp of English out here. If they can't speak it totally fluently, yeah. So I'm happy about that. Oh, you should be sleeping more. All the way out there, then you come back, and then 3 in the morning, you should still just try to go to sleep again.
Yeah.
I said, try to go to sleep again. Yeah. Traveling around, different forms of transportation takes a lot out of you. It is a big deal to go to Cebu from where we live, to come back the same day. You take care of business, do what you got to do, then you come back the same day because you figured out I don't have any other business out here. I don't need to stay any longer. All the forms of transportation, how many hours it takes to get from where we live to Cebu, and how many hours it takes to come back. It's quite an undertaking. It takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot out of me. Again, that's why there's a lot of reasons why I don't do a lot of traveling out here. It gets too complicated. Not everything's on time, your form of transportation. It could be the weather. It could be how uncomfortable these rides are if you got a bad back or something. It's a lot of different elements. And the common denominator I'm finding out with a lot of these guys who have YouTube shows they talk about. It's really strange. You got, what is that, Mike in the Philippines? That guy Mike who does a show every single day. His wife is Janet. Boy, does that guy have a lot to talk about. Talk about a motor mouth. Boy, this guy's like a total expert on everything Philippines, so he claims to be. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying he has a motor mouth. He's got a good following, though. He's making a couple of bucks, too. But then again, we go back to that thing. If you're running a successful show, how much time are you spending to make this a successful show? Editing, or, you know, isn't it figured that if you're retired, you should be out enjoying yourself, doing all kinds of acrobatic stuff? But this guy here, he's like, that is his life. And when it comes down to that is your life. You could do that in the Western society that you came from. But it's people like him that are not celebrating the Philippines. They're not living the experience at all in any way. They're trying to tell you all about the Philippines when they're armchair guys doing his shows, talking about every subject. Don't do this. Don't get together with a Filipino. Watch out for this. Watch out for that. But what are they doing with their life? Do they occasionally even travel? I never hear some of these people even go anywhere, even to the big city. I don't even, I don't hear it a lot. I don't see it. Just like that other guy, that British guy. Uh, Philippines. Oh, what I was mentioning earlier, he's a British guy I've been listening to. He was always talking about the dangers and all that shit. A Filipino's life as an expat. Filipino, no, expats. Let's see. Philippines life as an expat or Philippines life, something like that. No, fuck it, whatever. He always starts his show saying, "Hello, lovely people." Idiot says he bought the land for his house on impulse. Oh, Mike in the Philly. Yeah, a lot of people don't, but some people like him. No, he rubs me wrong. I'll say it like it is. He's a little bit overweight. Sits there with his hat on, probably bald. Talks about his wife Janet. It's okay. You can do that. But he is when these people act like professors. I mean, these Filipinos don't even know the stuff that he supposedly puts out. He acts like he's an expert on everything Philippines, but when do you ever see him and Janet go out there and do anything? I've never seen a show of his where he's out on the road somewhere, walking around town or something or anything. I haven't seen it. Maybe he has. I mean, I don't really follow him religiously or anything. I just go to see what he's whining about now. That's what they do. You want some cheese with that fucking wine? You got all these whiners out there, literally and figuratively. They sit there professing this and professing that. They're experts on relationships, experts on everything, all to make a show. And people are gullible enough and naive to believe the shit that comes out of their mouth. And he's making some good coins. He's not making bad money. I don't think he's getting wealthy off this show. He's not that big, but I forgot how many subs he has. But there's always plenty of people there when he's on there. Not like my channel. I got 23 people watching. And now he whines about everything. He does. Oh well, I guess people have to whine about something. It gives them a reason to be, a reason to live, a reason to go on. Remember what I said, you got to make the right decisions in your life when you live out here in the Philippines. And you got to be aware. Now, referring back to the beginning of my show, I've been on here for a while, 2 hours. In fact, I got to get off. That's an awfully long time. Every now and then, my shows kind of, if I got some good dialogue going, we'll go to 2 hours. And that's a good point on the show. You want to have some dialogue. And today we've had some dialogue. There wasn't a lot of people, my regulars pretty much, but that's okay. That's okay. But if you're going to say something on YouTube, understand what you're saying, that things could have ramifications later on. I don't care how brave you are, how many thousands of miles you live away. That does not mean that you're in the clear. It doesn't mean that people have not have forgotten what you've said or done. Yeah, remember the Rice Gate thing that happened here? Well, I have a pretty good idea who did that. I'm not going to say it on here, and don't you. More than one way to skin a cat, my friends. There's more than one way to skin a cat. I don't know why you want to skin a cat anyway. I don't understand that expression at all. Now he whines about it. I love the dialogue too. Well, you got to have dialogue, or it becomes a monologue. And I get bored. I get bored when it's just a monologue. I feel that I have to say more to keep people's attention rather than having a dialogue and be able to discuss something on here. And it just gets boring. Even to me, it just gets boring. You got to have dialogue. I've started some shows sometimes. I've seen people weren't talking; they were just listening, and I would get bored with what I was talking about because you got to have some dialogue on here. I don't like too much dialogue. It's hard to keep up with comments and stuff, to answer everybody's question or something. But a nice, comfortable balance. I got a regular crew of people that come on my show all the time, and I'm pretty comfortable with that. It's like a call-in show. Coin Society says, "Hell yeah, Frank! Swear I look forward to your show. I am boiling kidney beans today for a salad protein, baby. There you go, the kidney beans. See, some people catch on. I guess there's some validity to my show, have a meaning to it after all. And believe me, I've influenced a lot of people. They won't admit it, but I thought it was funny as hell when John Blaze, he even talked about it. I couldn't believe he even said it. That his wife over there in the States, she was, I guess she liked to listen to me. She went out, I swear to God, let's go find some green tea and let's go buy some turmeric. People were catching on, they won't admit it. And then I was talking about obesity a lot on my show, and some of the key players on here, no names mentioned, some of the key players on here, and I do mean players, all of a sudden they're doing more steps. They're worried about their diet now. Where did they get that influence? You know where they got that influence. It's from me. Because they know that everything I had to say was quite valid. And they got scared and saying, wait a minute, I'm doing everything opposite that Frank says you should be doing. And they started doing this stuff. But then they can't help themselves. Like I said, they can go for those 20,000 step walks, but then look what they go have for lunch or dinner. I mean, it's defeating the purpose of what you're trying to do. DT24 comes in. Skin a cat means skin a catfish. Is that where it came from? I used to come up with these things every now, like, why people would say, God bless you when you sneeze, and I explain it. I'm going to go look those. That might be an interesting show in itself. What do you call it? Colloquialism? What is the word for that? I don't know what the word. I'm no English professor here, obviously, and I'm not, but these sayings like "God bless you" when you have and somebody responds, from your sneezing, and it really has to do with the bubonic plague times, where if you sneezed, they figured that you got sick and that you were going to die soon. They say, God bless you. That's where that came in from. But that's something I should look up. And I did one time, and I should have wrote all this stuff down because that would be an interesting show. Where's all the saying? Even those little folky songs, folk tale and all that, whatever. And things have been carried on. That had to do with bubonic plague too. Ashes, ashes, we all fall down. That has to do with death. It had to do with the bubonic plague. A lot of people don't realize how people were living at some time. Besides the bubonic plagues that would happen, it could have wiped out the whole fucking world. Okay, and how people were living in medieval times, which was not terribly far ago in history. They were living like shit, and I did a show on that. I started to talk about that. No hygiene at all. Foods that meats that they eat, they couldn't refrigerate. They had worms in them. Fish, unless you lived in a fishing village, you got your fish fresh, you were okay. What they were eating was a kind of a porridge made out of vegetables. It was a gooey, ugly thing that they were eating. They weren't eating like kings, like you see on these movies, medieval times and kings and this and that. Even the kings and all the people were living on shit because you could only get fresh food from. You got to find a source for your food. You have no refrigerators to keep it fresh. So fresh meat was not, it was a rarity to get some good meat, but you couldn't keep it fresh and it smelled like death. They were throwing their freaking, even guys with castles. I forgot what they called that hole up in there, but it was outside the castle. They would be throwing their shit and piss out this window, kind of. And they were doing that, you know, London, everywhere. I mean, to a certain point where civilization kind of came in and they started developing sewer systems, all kinds of shit. People were throwing their shit out of the window, their piss, their shit, into the streets that you walk on. People in the old West, even America, they were. I've talked about this before. There was horse shit all over the streets they were stepping in. They didn't have a lot of water when they lived in a desert town. It was a pleasure, to take a bath and find clean water to do it. Sometimes they'd run out of water, the wells would go dry. There were people wearing the same clothing for a long period of time that smelled like fucking urine, that smelled like death. And that's not too long ago. And there's some people that still live in that lifestyle. Horrible as it is. Skinnick, okay. Yep. And castles were damp and cold. Yeah. They kind of glorified this shit on the movies. The kings, had the women, they had a big table with turkey on it. No, they didn't have a big table. That was rare they had a big table with turkey on it. The things they were eating were gross, even for the kings. And like I said, in the old West here in America, or dear in America, not in America anymore, you know, when the women could be a real practicing Catholic. You know how these practicing Catholics, they're not all what they preach. You know what I'm saying? Can you relate that to anything? They're married to a man. He had the job. He's the one who earned the money. But they weren't allowing women to work a lot of these times either. And they didn't know what to put them to work to do. Maybe she'd bake some stuff at home or something, but got to have money to bake something too, right? So when their husbands died in a gunfight or just died of disease, these women had to fend on their own. What did they do? They were so adamant against, prostitution, being a good Catholic or whatever your religion was, good Presbyterian. They had to find a way to survive because you needed to eat. So how did they find a way to survive? The very red light districts, they had to become a prostitute, which is a very thing that they fought against. Did not go well with their religious beliefs and practices, but there they were. Oh, there they were. They became a prostitute to make money. They didn't want to do that, but the situation forced them to do so, like it happens to a lot of people. Even in modern times, they're forced to do things they don't want to do. Some Filipinos are forced into prostitution because sometimes the qualifications to get a job out here is really hard. They don't, you know, they want you maybe to have at least an education in high school or something, but you don't have. Just to work at McDonald's or something, you got to go for medical testing. You got to go to the NBI and check your background out. And you might even be responsible for your own fucking uniform. Everything you got to pay out of your pocket. So when you look at some of these Filipinos and you say, why are they doing this stuff? Some of them are not educated enough for the likes of somebody. What you want, Ginger? What? What? Oh, okay. You okay? What you want? Well, you're hungry, huh? You gotta wait, okay? But there's a lot of reasons why Filipinos have turned to prostitution. First, there's an obligation to their family. And sometimes they will do things that they would normally never do, would never want to do, was never intent to do. Everybody has a story of why they do the things they do. Some things are inexcusable, as some YouTubers on here what they do. It's totally fucking inexcusable. No question about it. But some of these women do have excuses why they get into that profession. They didn't really want to, some maybe did. Majority of them felt there was a necessity to do that. And have children. And sometimes I guess they got to do things that they really didn't set out to do, but they realize that they got to do it. So you can't, label all these Filipinos that decide to take on prostitution as being bad people. It became a necessity to them, just like I said in the Old West. Proper women, proper breeding. Husband always supported him. Then he died or got killed or something, or disease or something. And she was on her own. She had to do something. She probably had children too. If not, she had herself to take care of. And she wanted to be a prostitute. To the embarrassment of the town that knew her as a prime and prim and proper person. Imagine the embarrassment she went through when she had to lower herself to that. Imagine the local guys having sex with her. They used to be friends with her husband. That she has to go down to that level, stoop down to that level. Yeah. born and raised in, let's see, etymology is the study of the origin of words and the way in which their meanings have, we'll look that up, have changed throughout history. Yeah, we'll look that up again, maybe do a show on that. And coincides at the DT24, born and raised in Arizona. I disagree a lot. Maybe I missed something here. The word shit comes from sewage hole in transit or boats. Yeah. The Old West was romanticized. It certainly was. It was not. I saw a whole thing on YouTube about this, a movie. Actually, it's on the TV. They glamorized everything. They had rashes like you wouldn't believe, skin disease, E. coli, all kinds of shit. They die young from disease in the Old West. And even, again, getting back to medieval times, I was talking about that. The kings of the castles and all this shit, they romanticized that. They weren't living as high life. They're living better than the peons that they were in control of, but they weren't living as good as life as you think they were. They got rashes like anybody else did, probably worse, skin diseases, sepsis. They developed all kinds of diseases that were really debilitating. They didn't have the modern medicine. They didn't have antibiotics at the time. They suffered. And that's why they only lived to maybe 30 years. If you were lucky, you lived 45 years, and that was pretty special. They used to get married at a very young age, 11, 12 years old, because they knew that their lifetime was not going to be long. So be grateful in a way that you're living in modern times because we got the meds out there now. Save lives. Something simple as a cold could turn into horrible things, pneumonia, other different things. I mean, something simple could turn into something really big. And thank goodness we got things like antibiotics and other medicines. Thank you, lucky stars, you're living in the times you're living in now. Although society is really fucked up, and there's no question about that, and we're all leading ourselves to an imminent disaster on this planet. While you're still here, you want to live the best life you can, and we have these antibiotics, we have these medicines, and we have all that shit. Not everything's going to cure all. Some things might just relieve some infliction that you have, affliction that you have, but I doesn't cure all. But we have things that do cure. Thank goodness for that too. You complain all you want about society now, and I talk about it a lot, and I mean what I say. But I am thankful that we have over-the-counter remedies that do good things for you. We got prescription that are very serious prescriptions that can save your life. Be grateful, and at least in that respect, be grateful. Ah, well, my eyes in the light here. Great movie for sure. What's this? The average life expectancy. Yeah. Oh, the average life expectancy in the Middle Ages, roughly 5th to 15th centuries, was significantly lower than today. Generally about 30 to 35 years. They didn't live long. They didn't live long. No, they didn't. Your life had to be in fast forward. You had to get married at a young age. You had to have babies at a young age. A lot of times your children never survived. Lack of food, lack of proper medicines or any kind of remedies. It was so don't ever there's nothing to glamorize about these days. Up until modern times, people were living like shit. As long as man has been on this earth, he's fucked up everything. But as long as he's been on this earth, they were living harsh, man. Never mind supermarkets. You had to go out and hunt for your own food. If you didn't, you'd starve. They were hunter gatherers. They started off as hunter gatherers. We still have some out there now. Like people going into trash bins to eat a pizza or something, whatever they find in there, or begging on YouTube for money. Scavenging people, scavenging everybody because they don't want to work or they don't want to put the effort out. It's just better to get a Filipino with a job, right? Have them take care of you because you're special. You're special. Something about you. Maybe your dick is big, or maybe you put fear in them. Go to work, bitch. Well, I'm not gonna. get in a relationship with any woman that don't have a job. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? Let's see. Frankie reminded me about the TV series HBO Carnival Prostitution and Carny Freaks in the 1940s. Carnival Prostitution. I don't remember that. Try to find that. Life was hard for everyone up to this time. It really has. It was hard for my parents when I was born. You know, it was hard for them. My father was born in 1920. He's seen a lot of shit going on. Horse and carriage was in the streets when he was born for a long time. I don't think there was no television sets when he was born. He's seen a lot of shit, but at least he lived to be in his 70s, you know, despite his disease. But a lot of people who were brought up the way he was, you know, he had a good Italian family that brought him up, you know. But he was fortunate for that. But to live in those times, beyond the 1920s, or even before that, of course, it was harsh. People don't realize how harsh living was to survive. We take everything for granted now. Everything for granted. Yeah. You got the money, go to a supermarket or store, buy. You're not hunting and gathering, are you? Or if you're lucky enough to have a farm, you could be self sustaining. People still do that. It's a great idea. And you know what? The farmers of the world, we don't give enough credit to them. And the truckers that deliver these goods and the transport system that deliver these goods to your local supermarkets. We don't give them enough credit. It's the farmers. It's the farmers that we should give a lot of thanks to. Come on. Shh. Come on. It's the farmers. You can't give them enough credit and they don't. Average lifespan in 225 for Somali is only 56 years. Yeah, when you live in those regions with lots of disease and stuff, yeah. Fazio was living a medieval lifestyle. Yeah. Just 1925 area, the expectancy was 47 years old. Yeah, that's my point. Look at me. I'm over 70 years old now, right? I don't know. I never really thought about how long I'm going to live. It's like dying is around the corner. Either. I really don't think that way. I do think about my mortality. I'll be honest with you, and you will. Usually after your 50s, you start thinking about your mortality. More so in your 60s, and definitely so when you hit your 70s, and extremely so when if you hit your 80s, right? I don't feel like there's a time limit. I was just thinking that, not many people live to be 100, right? And we don't have a long lifespan when you think about it, even the best of us, you know? Because, time goes by so fast, so goddamn fast. You're, you're 10, then you're 20, then you're 30, then you're 40, you're 50. It seems like a whirlwind just went by you, just boom. Then he says, oh, where the hell did time fly? It does fly. I don't know how many years I have on this earth. I just wake up every day and be grateful that I'm facing another day and I don't have some kind of a biological, physiological, anything of concern. I don't have any high blood pressure. I don't have diabetes. I'm very happy. I don't know about anything else. I go for tests now and then. I could still possibly get another kidney stone. Once you start having them, you got to watch everything you eat. And I don't always watch everything I eat that can cause all the oxalates and all that shit. But then again, you got to eat too. Like they're taking food off your menu. If you do this and do that, if you don't do this, you're going to get that. Well, what do you do? You got to live. I could go out with those cows out there and eat fucking grass if it comes down to that. But even I say that. Yeah, I say diet is really important, and I emphasize it on my show all the time. You may not eat my diet. You may never will. Who has kidney beans for breakfast or lentils? I do. If I had any left over, I'd have that. I'd incorporate it into my breakfast. I seriously would. And I have done. And I've shown you. It's up to you to take care of yourself as far as your diet is concerned. Nobody else to tell you what to eat, how to do it. I can't really tell you. I could suggest to you that maybe perhaps if you are obese, that maybe it's time to reverse the damage if you still can't. I don't know what I'm eating, dear. You're having your late morning coffee. Love. It says love on there. Love. Exciting and new. She's a lady. Whoa, whoa, whoa. She's a lady. And the lady is mine. Okay, we've been on here. This is probably one of the longest shows I've done in a long time. I cannot believe 2 hours and 30 minutes. This is pushing the envelope here. But the difference is we have dialogue. I hope I will hit 80. I hope I will. But, try not to think about it too much. Because here's the way it works psychologically, as I understand from people who've had diseases and they know, for example, they had some terminal illness. At first, you're kind of really pissed, right? Why is that happening to me? Why is it happening to me? Then there comes a level you get mad about it. Then you come to a level of acceptance. So your mind changes. You've heard all these stories about people that knew they were terminal. Oh yeah, they're really upset about it. They're worried about what's going to happen to family. They're stressed with all this. They don't want to die, but they know that so much has been tried with them medically, and it's not going to help them. And so your mind kind of goes from a really terrible point of being upset and mad, and why is that happening to me? Oh, that's right. I'm going to prove. She came back with some Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm going to have a sugary Dunkin' Donut this morning. She's going to have that with her coffee. Love, remember, love. And let me put more tea in here. Yeah, I'm going to have Dunkin' Donuts this morning. I haven't eaten anything yet. I haven't decided. But like I said, I do cheat. There's nothing around much. You're going to get tempted by something like this. And remember I said about sugar? It's the worst thing in the world. The absolute worst thing in the world for you. But I'm going to have that puppy. I'm going to put it in my mouth. I'm going to masticate it. I'm going to swallow it, and I'm going to enjoy it. You could do things now and then for yourself like that. Let me grab my tea. The difference is, how often do you do it? Are you shoving Coca-Cola down your body every single day? You're drinking rum full of sugar? What are you doing? You buying all these snacks just jam loaded with sugar? That's your doing. There's a saying, I could have my cake and eat it too. Well, you certainly can. And why not? If you got a cake, why not eat it? You spent the money on it. But don't overindulge in it, is what I'm saying. Don't overindulge. Just have a filling in there?
Yeah, Bavarian.
Let's see, boys. Got a cream filling here.
Oh.
What is the birthday plan? I don't really have any big plans. Not really. I don't know. Well, yours has the strawberry cream. I got the more of a custard, which is good too. Good question. I don't have any particular plans. I don't know. We might buy a cake or something. I don't know. I'm not going to make a big event out of it and have a bunch of people come over. I'm not going to do that. She had a pretty good party. She hit 50. And she had some catering. But I don't really make a big thing about it.
My son's birthday, 27 soon.
Whose birthday?
John.
John's birthday's on the 27th of this month?
Yeah.
Wow. Don, that donut is gone, folks. It's gone. And you're giving me the rest of yours? Are you trying to kill me here? Thank you. Mm. Num, 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 num. Mm. Ah, that satisfied my sweet tooth. Nah, no birthday plans. Boy, we've been on here long. Okay, I gotta pay attention to my lady. Gotta show her some love. I don't like to do shows this long, but as I said, when you get some dialogue, then maybe it's worth being on here for a little bit.
You need to put down. Because I'm sleeping.
Well, we'll get this all off. God forbid we leave a crumb on the table here. It's like an invitation, a dinner bell for the ants. Well, anything else we should talk about on here before I get off on here? We have a shitload of people here, but you've got a lively discussion going here, which is great. That's what I like. Fuck the monologues. Go talk to myself in a mirror if I have to. If I ever do a show in the future and I don't see there's much dialogue, I'm off. Frank, I love a good donut. I really do, Starvo says. Yeah, so do I. Ooh, let me wash this down. Yeah, much better. Yeah, I like. We get donuts every time we want. Sabu, she has a relative that works one of these big outfits, famous donut place. He's a manager of one of them. Anytime we're in Cebu, we could come home with 4 boxes of it if we really wanted to. And we've done that sometimes, but I don't want. I don't want to have too many sweets around here because chances are it's going to be a temptation. That's the bad thing. Don't put too much around you. It's definitely going to be a temptation. Then if you're stagnant, I at least work at it a little bit. I mean, I'm not doing as much as I should. And I'll be honest, I have not been on the treadmill for a week and a half. I've been doing other things though. But I realize I got to start doing that again. Stop talking about it and just do it. That's what a lot of people, they do talk about a lot of stuff that they don't do. Then when they start doing it, they do the things completely opposite. They go out for dinner and lunch, whatever. They're having highly caloric, high cholesterol, high fat, saturated fat stuff. And they want to lose weight and they want to be healthy. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. Anyway, I do got to go. We've been on here 2 hours and 38 minutes. We're giving Kevin some competition on long shows. But it's okay. I didn't mind this morning. There's nothing special going on here this morning. Oh, by the way, Gilda, that mentally challenged girl was walking around this morning. She may, at some point when I woke up, it was still a little bit dark. She may have come in the yard because the dogs were barking like crazy. And I did see her out there walking around, not in our yard, but I saw her walking across the field this morning too. She could have been in our yard again. Costco donuts, really. Well, I'll tell you, donuts, the one thing I like, do you remember what French corollers are? There's maybe a lot of eggs or something. I don't know. A French corolla, it's like almost hollow inside. It is the most tasteful pastry. One of the list of most tasteful pastries are called French corollers. I'm not talking about the solid ones. I guess it's called a French corolla. You bite into this, and it's all kind of hollow inside, really. But it is so absolutely tasty. Do you know what that is? Yeah. And of course, I like scones. I love scones. And I used to get them, and there were places to get some scones rarely in Hawaii. It would be Starbucks that would sell, and mostly it was only a blueberry scone. Very rare that you find some really, really flavorful scones, like pumpkin scones. I love that stuff. I got to learn how to make that. Pumpkin scones. It was blueberry scones. There was carrot scones. Scones.
Yeah, I ate there in lunch yesterday in Michelle restaurants, coffee and shop. It's
Oh,
a good
shop. You
one.
went and had scones.
Huh?
They had scones there.
It's very nice food there. I ate there when
Did they have scones? They did.
yeah.
Yeah, and you want to get scones, even in Starbucks out here. Mostly you might find something bland, something maybe blueberry. But
But
Seattle, forget
it's
about it. I
the
got
bread is very good bread.
yeah,
Yeah.
Seattle. Yeah, I had access to scones out there, left and right. And even the supermarkets, they have a section where there's be some scones. And I more to the holiday, you'd find like the pumpkin scones, which were really really good, really really good. And the carrot scones, I really like the pumpkin scones.
And he's a young owner. He's the one cooking also. He's a Italian.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain creature comforts as far as food and shit food, like sweets and pastries and stuff that I miss. New York, forget about that. Forget about it. New Yorkers say, man, they had the best Italian pastries, man. Oh man, the best Italian pastries you could ever get. My parents could afford to go to the bakery and buy some of that shit. We scoffed it down. Napoleons, really good Napoleons. You know,
It's very nice,
just the
Mo.
black and white cookies.
It's very nice because you can see how he prepare food
How they
and
prepare the food there.
yeah, how they cook
Oh, they
inside.
showed you how they were doing stuff there, their
Yeah,
food preparation. What was the
preparation.
name of this place?
Michelle?
Michelle's? Michelle's? And where was this? IT Park or something? Or
No,
no?
they're in Belize.
Where?
In Belize.
In Billy.
In Belize, in capital.
Oh, the capital area. Oh, the capital area. I'll have to check it out. What was it? All kinds of food? It was just, they had pastries too. They had a combination of
Yeah,
things.
they get a food. They get food and they get pastry, bread, Italian bread.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well, I should have brought that up when I was there with you just the other day. My God.
Yeah, I tried yesterday. I said, okay, what to buy, and then my
Yeah.
my
Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, then they said I'm here already. Okay, just walk. So that's why I forget to buy.
All right, well, this has been a glorious show today. We've covered everything from A to Z practically on here. The do's and don'ts of dealing with people in the Philippines, dealing with Filipinas. We talked about just about everything. Medieval times, lifespan. I mean, what don't I cover on my show? And then I could say to myself, why don't I have 100,000 subscribers? Yeah, and I listen to other people's shows and they've got this shit. And why don't I? Well, when people go on the attack of you all the time, they're not going to support your show. They want to spread the bad word about you and all that. They don't want to see you being successful on the show. But you know what? I am a success. No matter how low my subscribership is, the very trolls themselves come back to listen. They say they don't like my topic matter, they don't like me or my show. But what happens every time? And I'll end off with this. They all come back. They all watch, every single one of them. So they must like my show. I can't even remember now how many topics I just talked about in my 2 hour plus show this morning. Multiple topics, and we really got into it too, which I like. And there's dialogue. Big Kevin and people like that, they can't do it. They let people speak for him. He's just a ringmaster of the troll show, of the circus. Big Kevin. Okay, I gotta get some more jingle in my pockets, you fat fucking slob, piece of shit. Fuck these assholes. Begging off everybody. Get your fucking life together. Stay in one place, settle down, get your act together, lose your weight, get some brain cells back. Act like a human instead of a subhuman. Get your shit together and maybe you could get your life together. That is my show, baby. Just quick and painless. Word up is Whitey Apple Man lives with his mom, and this particular person is actually known to have seizures. And one of the reasons he lives with his mom is because she's the only one that is close to him that knows what to do when he gets these epileptic seizures. And what this man's got to understand, it comes back and forth to the Philippines, is that there is a law that they don't accept people in this country for having epileptic seizures. It's just a policy for whatever reason. I don't know. Worried about accidents happening, something or another. That's all they really have to say. And by the way, I just released a video that was sent to me, if you haven't seen it. And as I said, I'm not taking a stance either way on the content of that video as far as the danger of holding an infant. And apparently this is some kind of an issue going on Discord, and people have their opinion about this, how delicate a child's head and neck is. There is truth to that, how delicate it can be. There's absolute truth. But I said I'm not going to put the judgment on. It's up to the viewers. That was, by the way, was sent to me. I'm just a messenger. And just opinions from people on that video. And what you think about it. Not trying to cause trouble here. I'm not trying to, I raised a child on my own. I was very careful. But I've also played around too, having fun with the child, and playing with the child, doing something invigorating, some kind of play, dancing, stuff like that parents do with their child. Now, I will say right off the bat, that I think it's too quick of a judgment to make on that video. I think it's actually much too big of a judgment to make that somebody is not handling the child properly. It can be dangerous. I'm going to not lie to you about that. Me, I was just too squeamish with stuff like that. I was just, always known that child, an infant, is not developed yet. And I was always real first held my child. You had to hold it second. There was a certain way of holding it, so that nothing, the skull wasn't even totally developed, the neck and muscles supporting the head. So, the way Discord is, and not just Discord, but all over. They're trying to make a big controversial thing about this, and I'm going to have to stand in her defense with this. You may not think I have reason to, but I'm going to have to stand. There was no ill intent at all. Somebody exercising with the baby in the arms. I don't know. I'm no doctor. I don't think the motions were that abrupt to harm the child. There's no ill intent involved in there for those people that are right away, they want to put the accusatory finger out there. Okay. I will defend somebody when I think they're right. And I think in this situation, she wasn't doing anything wrong. I've done like that with my daughter, but you just got to be careful. That's all you have to do. If you've been a mother before or taken care of a kid, you'll understand all that stuff. But right away, people making a stink about it. Now, I'd understand if she was really jostling the kid's head. I would be concerned, and I'll quickly say something. You know I will. But I'm sort of kind of coming to the defense. I'm kind of coming to her defense. That there was no intended harm that I could see, just having fun, dancing around. But right away, people want to make something big of this. And this is my point that I make on here. People are looking for fault with other people. They're looking for fault. Let her slide on this, guys. Take it easy, man. You know, I've seen worse. I've seen one YouTuber who had an infant of his girlfriend. I'm not going to say his name. You remember way in the past, he was throwing the baby on the mattress. He was playing around. He was playing around. It was a big stink at the time. He was playing around, and kind of it almost looked like he was manhandling the baby. You can't just throw him on the mattress like that. And of course, the guy claimed that I was just playing with the baby. There's no harm. In that situation, I'd say, foul play. Well, he was just ignorant of what an infant could take. Foul play. I'll say it out loud. Foul play on that incident. But I don't think there was anything drastic going on with this video. I don't think there was any ill intent to harm a baby. Of course not. Why would somebody want to do that? And I was just making a point here, that's all. I could do shows all fucking morning talking about this shit, but I need to eat a breakfast. I didn't really want to come on and say anything, but oh, yeah, I did talk about Diabo. I did. When some people don't want to admit to their faults medically, it's embarrassing to have seizures, okay? They don't want people to know that, but he certainly don't want immigration to know that. If immigration knows that about this man, anybody makes a poor report to immigration, gives a full information on the guy, they'd be reluctant to let you in this country. I tell you, they got some crazy laws out here, man. But maybe they're not that crazy. I don't know. You could be in the middle of something and cause an accident if you have an epileptic fit. Epilepsy is not funny. If you know anybody's ever had it, you could die from that too. It's not funny, but some people do have seizures. They don't want to admit to it because they think it's rather embarrassing. I understand, but I think in Abo's situation, I think that's exactly what's going on. Nothing ever stopped me from saying what's on my mind. I'm saying it right now. Two things. Don't make judgment on that woman with the baby. Okay? It was innocent fun. Yeah, right. I'm standing up for her. I really am on this one. I really am. All this talk on Discord. They don't think it was right or whatever. She didn't cause no harm to the baby. None. And you probably say, well, gee, Frank, why are you sticking up? Isn't she kind of like a nemesis of yours in consideration of a lot of things? No, she's nothing to me. Absolutely nothing. I'm just offering my opinion. You know, these days, you remember, you got to be careful what direction you point your eyes in. You get in trouble, right? And everybody's trying to find fault with something. No, she is not faulty on here. I think if there was more aggressive bouncing of the baby, then I'd come on and I'd say something, and that wouldn't stop me. That wouldn't stop me one bit at all. But I have to disagree with this one. Very innocent, having fun, being playful. The kid wasn't jousting around that much to have a concern. Relax, take a deep breath, people. It's all good. That's all I wanted to say. And if you don't mind, I'd like to have a breakfast and get the fuck off YouTube. Right now. Jesus Christ, people. Take a chill pill. Oh, Ricky boy. Things might be a little different next time I see you in this, I'll tell you that. Ain't gonna be no handshake on there. And you were really kind of down and guilty. You really were. I've had some comments from people too that you were really pretty much attacking her. And Jay, Jay, he was just like your buddy Barry, your old mouth. You wouldn't never meet up with me. Oh no, you'd have to come and see me, Jay. I can't be chasing you all the way through Cebu. No way in the world you'd ever meet up with me at all. There's no way in the fucking world you would. I know better. You're all talk. But tell you what, try answering to my girlfriend. She didn't like some of the things you were implying about her either, I tell you that. She didn't like it at all. Yeah, go ahead. put your hands on a girl, well, you do all the time, you know. You're just probably as abusive as your buddy is. Maybe even more. I don't know. Yes, I heard a little bit of uh, Jay's show when Ricky came on, and Ricky was just blasting at me. But I'll tell you one thing, Ricky does take a chance. He knows he's going to run into me sometime in SNR, and I told you, things are going to be a whole lot different. It's going to be a whole lot different. He'll see. He'll see. I do go to SNR. And next time I'm in there shopping, I'm not going to say when I'm going to be in there. I'll probably run into him, because he's in there pretty often. I got to see how brave. It's the same shit every time I approached him in SNR. He tries to, you know, relax the whole situation. Oh, shaking my hand. Oh, it's all right. Shaking my hand. Yeah, it's kind of like Jay and Barry. They're all alike. Jay, you're a big talker, aren't you? At your mommy's house. You're a big talker. And yes, from people that know you, you do actually have these events of these seizures. Barry actually said on a show one time, when he was trying to defend you, oh no, he just had a reaction to a medication. Well, that must mean you're taking medication for something. I remember you saying that you never take medication. Well, I bet you are. I bet you are taking medication, a lot of medication. But you're a pretty big mouth, Jay. You really got a big mouth. But I know historically with you, you never met up with any one of these people that you were adverse with or adverse with you. You've never met any single one of them. You're real brave to be in Australia with the kangaroos at your mummy's house. No, it's not your house. It's your mom's house, Jay. It's your mom's house. Mummy. It's Mummy's house. Mummy. But you run your mouth a lot, both you and Ricky. Oh, yeah, Ricky was on a roll today. Yeah, Ricky was on a roll today. I told you, I'm not done with Ricky, not even one bit. I'm working on that motherfucker, believe me, I am. You have no fucking idea. You have no idea. And you won't know until it actually happens. Oh, Ricky, I am looking forward to seeing you in SNR again. It's going to be a different scenario. Mark my words, it's going to be a whole different scenario. I don't think you're going to be shaking my hand. I don't think so. Even Gilda, she's not really happy with you either. She's always friendly with you when she sees you, but she's had enough. She's had enough. And she's not going to be that friendly to you either. But yeah, I did listen to a portion of the show. I got a few things recorded from Jay, as usual. That's right. I'm definitely going to be talking immigration about, oh, I got paperwork, he says. Well, you're going to show your paperwork of your condition. You don't have it in the Philippines. But the truth is, there is an immigration law that says if you are having seizures, they don't take you into this country. Now you got to understand, the Philippines is Jay's hunting ground. It's his hunting ground. Poor victims. It's his hunting ground. He's no bigger than fucking Big Head. Remember Big Head? Big Head Larry? He's no better than Big Head. But Big Head had some style, anyway. He had style. Jay don't have any style at all. Talk all you want, Jay, but talk is cheap. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to make a long video. I want to get something to eat here. But you're doing a good job, Ricky. Doing an excellent job. Excellent job. Don't forget, I know where you live, motherfucker. And you push it enough of me, I'll have a policeman at your fucking door questioning your fucking ass. And see what's really going on with you. 5-star lifestyle, my ass. And Jay, what makes you such an expert on me and my finances? How are you such an expert? Or you, Ricky, how are you such an expert on my finances? You don't know what I have in the bank, and you never will. Done very well so far. Oh, you talk about all the legal expenses and everything else. Well, it takes money to do that. Apparently I have it. It's never been really a big complaint of mine. I think you're more worried than I am. Worry about yourselves, guys, because the direction you guys are heading, it's not a very good direction, I can tell you that. Yeah. Well, Drew only left to do his exit. Shaky J has a couple of kids. And yeah, I know all about that. I know. He could afford to talk about me, right? Well, first of all, this whole thing is ridiculous anyway. This back and forth shit is ridiculous. I'll take care of business as I usually do. 1-to-1 or any other way. Jay will never meet up with me. Jay will make any excuse in the world. He's got a lot to say about me. Because, well, first of all, he knows what I'm saying about it is truthful. Everybody knows Jay. There's not much people don't know about Jay. Jay's been a really exposed individual, shall I say, on YouTube. Everybody knows what a fucking loser he is. I don't think anybody has any question about that. I don't think they have any question at all about that. And look at Ricky. Well, speaks for itself, you know. The guy's fucking insane, man. Well, the way he acts is one who didn't know him from jack shit. Listen to his show and say, this guy, where's his escort? Well, that's right, he has an escort service. But where's his handler? You know, what institution did this guy escape from? I mean, that's the impression that people get from this guy. But like I said, none of these people, and I do mean none of these people, are really living a great life. I mean, I've gone over this time and time again. There's nothing more to say about it, you know. And there really isn't. Their display is what it is. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Maybe. Well, who knows? I mean, he's always getting into trouble, so it's hard to say. What are you looking at? Stop. It's hard to say. You know, the bottom line, they're all fucking losers. I mean, I can say this time and time again. It ain't going to make any difference. They're all a bunch of fucking losers. They all got backgrounds. Jay, you know, he does the same thing as Popeye does and stuff. He's safe behind the proverbial microphone. Okay, he's safe behind the microphone. That's all it is. But he's the kind of guy, and we have these guys in the past that were exactly like that. Ren, there was a lot of people that were pulling that shit. Brave, just like Popeye behind camera and all that. They're all brave, but when they look at Ricky, he has a lot to say about me, but when I run into him over at SNR, what does he do? Tries to shake my hand and try to ease and calm the situation. But you heard me, I told him right off. I said, hey, I'm right in front of you now. Do something. You got some aggression, you got some problems with me. And you all saw it on camera. That was not rehearsed, it was not orchestrated. Ricky couldn't do shit. He could try. Ricky couldn't do shit because he's another fucking coward. No matter how big he is, he's a coward. Not a big guy, but he's a coward, period. And he is a fidget. Yeah, I've seen the videos of him. He's a small guy. And believe it or not, I think Barry might actually be taller than him. That's saying a whole lot. Yeah, I guess it's a visa run. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't come on here. I want to get something to eat here. Jay, I did listen to your show. I make notes of everything you say. I got you exactly where I want. You know, but I keep on telling you, man, stop making the excuses. And you say, what are we going to say to you when we meet you? You'll find out. And you're going to have to say a few things to Gilda, too. Oh, believe me, I got it all planned out. I'm waiting for you to come to Cebu. I can't wait till I'll make the trip. And I have an idea where you stay, too. You always talk about it. But I've given you a challenge, and you're cowarding out. The challenge is still on. You don't want to talk about it, though. You're running the other direction. I know you would. You're in no good shape, dude. The amount of cigarettes you smoke and the booze you drink, your weight, you're not in good shape. You're a tiny little man is what you are. You are truly a tiny man with a big mouth and a hairy chest. That's all I have to say. Your time will come, Jay, and your time will come, Ricky. Believe me, it will. I plan on it. Oh, believe me, I do. Ricky, you've been running your mouth a little bit too much lately. Okay. But you're always running your mouth. But yet when you see me in SNR, oh, big personality change, huh? Yeah, what's with that? Try me sometime. Try it. See how far you go, Ricky. I don't care how fucking big you are. You're too much of a coward to do anything to me. You said I'm a frail old man. You shouldn't have a problem, right? You too, Jay. Look, take a look at yourself, Jay, before you start making comments to me. And I'm sure you have. That's all you got is your mommy. Oh, I don't have seizures, he said. But the word out is that you're living at your mom's because your mom is the only one who knows how to take care of you when you go into one of these seizures. So what are you embarrassed about with the seizures? People have some medical problems. Just admit the truth. You have seizures. Some people have them, you know. You don't remember when you were living in McGinilla with Barry. It was a big thing at the time you had a seizure. Everybody knows you did. So why do you hide it? I don't know. And truthfully, I don't really care. But, you know, we'll run into each other sometime. That's a definite. I will say that. Forget about the talk. We'll meet someday, and we'll see how brave you are. That's my message. No back and forth name calling or any shit like that. Yeah, I do believe in karma. So far, it's been pretty damn good. Talk the talk, but you don't walk the walk. End of all discussions. End of any back and forth crap on here. Perhaps someday your life will. Well, happen for me. Miracles do happen. No more words on here back and forth. It doesn't go anywhere. If somebody has a problem with me, well, you know where to find me. Tell me where you're going to be someday. I'll meet up with you. That's all. And we'll have a cup of coffee. Yeah, we definitely have a cup of coffee. But get it off your chest. That's what I say. Get it off your chest. You got something on your chest with me. Get it off your chest. We may accidentally meet. We may purposely meet. Whatever the occasion might be. See how big you're going to be talking then. That's my last message. Meanwhile, my life goes on. I suggest that your lives do the same. And definitely say hello to Barry for me. Oh, well, shit happens, folks. It certainly does when you least expect it.